Okay, we are live. How are you? Let me see who all is out here. I'm just inviting people. Hi to anyone that may be coming in. I am just inviting some people. Okay, I just shared it with some people. So come on in. We're going to be talking about Dr. Umar because this is one of them type of things that I have opinions about and I feel comfortable going ahead and just talking about because it really is weird. Like it's just so crazy watching this unfold, but it's not unexpected. It's not surprising, It's just like, of course, this man is not an anomaly. What he is doing is not an anomaly. This is how these people do. This is what they do. They always talking about legacy and oh yes, we got to do this and we got to build up the nation and this and that and the other, leaving trails of kids, multiple broken homes, quote unquote broken homes. And I want to be clear about something. When I talk about broken homes, like I do not buy into the whole old single mother households are deficient. I do not believe that at all, but I do have a problem with people that talk about them in that way, creating them, that talk about single mothers being insufficient as parental figures, as leaders, as guides, as parents, or whatever. I do have a problem with people who abide by those metrics, turning around and being hypocrites and not having their children. And I'll admit, I'm one of the people that just kind of laughs at him in terms of like his mannerisms, the memes and everything. He is one of the funniest comedians of our time, in my opinion. But when it comes to this situation, like it's very triggering for me because I'm looking at this baby. I mean, and she's younger. She's a little bit older, slightly older than my oldest daughter. But I'm watching this girl come out and say, look, I'm just trying to connect my family. I'm just trying to know who my people are. I'm just trying to stay in contact and do the job of the father, the parent they have in common, and just build a relationship with my sister. And he won't even help me with that. He got hours and hours to spend spouting off all this BS on lives. He got hours and hours to spend chronicling his vagabond lifestyle. He's got hours and hours to spend berating and beguiling people to send him gifts and donations while sitting in a casino. He got all this time for this stuff, but he didn't have time to at least connect the children so that they can carry on a relationship with or without him. He didn't have time to connect them as family. He's trying to unite us as a people, but he couldn't even unite his children. He could not even unite his children. That's actually wild. And honestly, I don't pay him no attention for the most part, but it's annoying to watch the response like to this girl because I can't say I'm mad or anything at him. I'm annoyed by like what he's doing, and we will talk about that later. But in terms of his response or whatever, but again, it's not surprising to me. It's pretty typical. But what annoys me is the people, oh yeah, automatically, oh his baby mom must be bitter. This girl says she's reached out to him. That means she has connection with him. That means she has his number, and more than likely he has her number, and he is not using it. And I've seen him talk and say that he is not in connection with his children. I've seen him say that out of his own mouth. Now, does he talk about it like, oh, he's ashamed of it? Do he talk about it like, oh, it's something wrong that he needs to fix? No, he does not talk about it like that. But I have seen him talk about not being in contact with his children. There's no excuse for that. And especially once your kids in this day and age, this technological age, where kids have their own devices, phones, laptops, computers, all types of things. There's all types of ways to get in contact with your child. There's laptops, computers, all types of things. There's all types of ways to get in contact with your child. There's absolutely no reason why you do not, this person who is so highly personable, communicative, interacting with a lot of people at a given time, communicative, interacting with a lot of people at a given time. There's no reason why you cannot have connection with your child. There's no reason why you cannot establish a relationship with your child. And it doesn't matter how old or young they are. So it's just a lot of things that I'm watching in terms of what's being said by both the young lady and, like I said, things that I've seen him say on his own. There's lots of things that I'm seeing here that's telling a story that is still not going to pan out the way I think he thinks it's going to pan out. Because he's talking about some, oh yeah, let's have a discussion with your mother, and let's bring the mother out, and I got receipts, I got papers from the court, and this and that and the other. That has nothing to do with day-to-day how you live your life and the choices you made in terms of, that's about you and the mom. That's not about you and this girl. She's her own person, and she's been her own person for a long time. She's been her own person for a long time. She's 22 years old. So I say around, I got a 21-year-old, or she'll be 21, and I got an 11-year-old. No, she'll be 11, sorry. I'm pushing them forward. But they'll be 11 and 21 this year. And they're their own people. They both got their own phones. They both got their own kind of lives. They got friends. They got all types of stuff. So I'm saying that to say, if you don't deal with her mother, but that's your child and you love her, there's no reason in the world why y'all shouldn't have an open line of communication, a good rapport at least, to where anything she's talking about, especially in terms of having you connect her with her, like that should have been done. That's the thing about when you are a parent, there are certain things that are just a given within your life. If you have multiple kids and you are a parent-minded parent, your kids are going to be connected. Why? Because they're your family. You treat them as your family. You conduct yourself as family. You know what I mean? Y'all going to be around each other. You're going to be bonding. Y'all going to be doing what families do. So family-minded people don't have these problems. Family-minded people, children, are not going to have to reach out to them at the age of 22 to say, hey, can you connect me with my 15-year-old sister? It's just not going to happen. Now, I didn't have my dad in my life, like as a child and stuff. My dad continuously, though, throughout my life, and there were times where I low-key rejected him or just passively rejected him. I just wasn't worried about trying to build a relationship with him at that point. But my dad continuously came to me. I was not chasing him. He kept coming to me. He would find me. He would come and knock on the door where I was living at. He would put in the work, and repeatedly within my life, to establish a connection with me until finally I got to a point where I was receptive to it, and I did. And to this day, I could call him. He'll message me on Facebook. Like, we don't talk every day. We don't have the same type of relationship that we probably would have had if he had raised me and if we had been around each other like that throughout my childhood. But I still know, like, everything is cool with us. And when we started talking, immediately, the first thing he did was let me connect you with your siblings. Let me give you this number. When me and my dad actually like really started rapping to each other, within that same week, I was connected with my siblings. So what I'm saying is, like, if you really want to, you don't have these problems when you are a family-minded and a parent-minded parent. And so all of this rah-rah about, oh, you need to bring the mom in, and the mom was just bitter and was keeping him away, that is bullshit. That is bullshit. Wait, can I curse on here? I don't want to get banned. That's BS. Dro said, what's the story with Umar? I haven't gotten to the deep. So this young lady here in the picture, I tried to get a screenshot that was as complimentary to her, but she was talking while I was taking the screenshot. But this young lady here is apparently his oldest child. And she came on and did a video and said, "Hey, I've been trying to call my father, who's Dr. Umar, because I want to get connected with his other daughter. I want to be connected to my sister. And he's not answering the phone. And I want him to answer the phone so that I can talk to my sister." And so she was saying whatever she was saying. He came on and was basically like, "Oh, thank you for joining my team." He was basically like, "Oh, I'm not going to answer to this. This is my personal business. Fair enough." But also insinuating that there's a deeper story or narrative behind why he was not in his children's life. Now, I personally, I'm speaking for me. He has multiple children, yes. From what I understand, he has 2 daughters. But I've heard him speak of his children before in the context of saying that he did not have any contact with his children. I've heard him talk about this unprovoked. So this is not anything new. This is not revolutionary information. It just so happens that now the child is coming out and saying she's not a child, she's a full-grown woman. But she's coming out and like, "Hey, yeah, I'm taking issue now." Mind you, this man has been at this, he said himself, for 15 years, I think. Whatever. He's been out here going around, pontificating about uniting the black family and this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. And that was already some BS because of the other stuff he would talk about wanting multiple women and this and that. And like, you could just tell that there were certain things that was off with him, but also he a Philly, so you already know. But he's talking all this stuff. And I personally, were I her in this day and age, like if my dad had did that and we had social media back in the day, I might have been said something by now. You know what I mean? So he's lucky that she let him slide this long. But it just so happens that the catalyst was, she's like, "Look, behind the scenes, I'm just trying to do your job for you." Basically, like, I want connection with my family. I want connection with my sister. And you are not doing what you could do to facilitate that. And I don't know why. But I also feel like, and this is just my opinion because I don't know these people or whatever, this is me kind of filling in blanks for myself because we talking about it. But what would be the incentive for a man who believes as he does about unifying the family, so forth and so on? What would be the incentive for him to ignore his child's appeal to him to connect? Why wouldn't he already have them connected? You get what I'm saying? If you're about uniting families, why wouldn't you already have a situation? Because this is my thing, and people may think because I'm level up single mom, I have a certain agenda. And I won't necessarily fault people for assuming these types of things. But what would be the incentive for someone who preaches these values to not have a reasonable situation, arrangement with the mothers of his children, even if he, slips up whatever and makes kids that are not under a shared umbrella of like a family, whether it's a polygamous family or whatever. If you didn't marry or otherwise commit to these women, who's to say, why can't you still create a situation where there's a harmonious familial rapport betwixt you, these women, and your children? Like, that says something. And these are the people that are always talking about building legacy and this is important and that is important. And it's all about this image of a patriarch, this image of a man at the head of something, of these people, of his family at least, of a community, of a nation, of a movement, of a following. And that's even the language that he was using in some of his responses to the situation. This is your legacy. She's literally sitting there with features like you. This is your actual legacy. This is something that could be tied directly to you outside of, your words and your appearances and your puffery and your peacocking and all of that other stuff. Like, this is your real world legacy. People ain't watching Disney like they should be, okay? You see these people on them frienders, you're going to find yourself stuck on the other side and disappearing on the other side because don't nobody remember you and want to fuck with you. You need to be real about this. Like, people do not think about this. It's so many words that get thrown around all the time and concepts that are thrown around all the time. And people do not engage with the reality, with the implications of what is actually going on. This is your legacy. If you have children, your children are your deepest roots into this plane into this lifetime. They are the ones that are going to first and foremost tell your story. They are the ones that are going to carry on the essence, the spirit of what it is that you were and represented on this plane. How can you go around? That's a big part of the reason why I'm not as visible as I could be on social media. Not necessarily because I feel any kind of insecurity about my parenthood. I feel very secure in my parenthood, but there are like certain things that I want to be sure I would not be overstating or making up or, what would there be? Inflating about myself before I go out and say, well, I'm trying to start a movement. I'm trying to be the head of a movement. Every step of the way, you need to be conscientious about how you're actually showing up. You can talk big about your vision. You can talk big about, your intentions. You can talk big about what it is you want to be happening or what it is you want to build. That's fine. But there are certain foundational things that you need to have on lock before you call yourself going out, try to preach to people, trying to teach people, trying to lead people, trying to convince people, whatever. Treacherous says she seems genuine to me. I believe her. And the first thing he said is exactly the way he's responding to this and to the things she's saying. I'm looking at what she's saying her issues are with him. And I'm looking at his response. And I see the full picture. I see the full picture here. Because at the end of the day, this is her. This is not her mother. She is bringing you issue, and you're trying to bring her mother in because you feel like you had some kind of superior stance above her mother. You feel like her mother did something that prevented you as a grown-ass man, as a grown-ass, powerful, notable celebrity type man, because the way he's talking about it, he's puffing himself up like he's somebody really important. So with this man with all these accolades and all this power, personal power and prestige, you telling me this little old nobody lady was able to keep you from your legacy? Was able to keep you from your legacy? I'm going, we on Umar time. Was going able to keep you from your legacy? Was able to keep you from your legacy? How did that happen? How did that happen? There's no way. There's no way. Absolutely not. Like, that's frustrating to me. And then on top of it all, now when you go in the comments, you'll see certain people point, oh yeah, bitter baby mom. The mother said nothing. Like, he's lucky. This annoys me about people like him too. You not even taking into account that you had a good run. I have not, to my shock and surprise, I have not seen nobody come. I think briefly one of the baby moms had something to say like a few years ago, but even they didn't make the noise they could have. You get what I'm saying? They didn't make the noise that they could have. They said, I guess a bitter baby mom is a black king's kryptonite. Listen. They said, how does she feel he's going on tours about being in kids' lives not to? That's what I'm saying, treacherous. That's what I'm trying to say. He's lucky because a chick like me, I would have been saying something before. The first whiff I got of you talking all this uniting families crap, I would have had to step in. I'm sorry. That's just the nature of who I am. I would have had to say something. So he's lucky they let him live this long without saying anything. And the only reason this girl is saying something, she said it, is because I want my sister. I want my sister. I want to be in my sister. I want to talk to my sister. I want to love on my sister. I want to build the family with my sister that you did not have the care or the time to establish for us. That was your responsibility. And she didn't even say it like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, she's not coming ability. And she didn't even say it like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, she's not coming at him like he deserves. She said, respectfully, I don't care about none of that other stuff. Can you please connect me with my sister? That's it. And he couldn't even do that. Now he has to bring in her. Now he's got to disrespect her mother, who took care of her, regardless of what was going on between them, regardless of how she felt about him, who still facilitated her life, her well-being, physical, mental, emotional, whatever. She said, I cursed out my daddy to be, so she's doing. Listen, that's what I'm trying to say. He has been blessed by the ancestors for the fact that these women and or the children have had yet until now to come out and drag him mercilessly. I would stay on his neck. I would have stayed on his neck. Not on my watch. Okay? Not on my watch. Would you be able to traipse around and be the vagabond you are in peace? Nope. Nope. Not with me. But they've been kind. And all she asked of him was that he connect her with the sister he made for her. I mean, he didn't make her for it, but you get what I'm saying? You making other kids out here, I'm going to do the family work. I'm going to break the family curses and just connect us as family and forget all this other stuff. I'm going to break the family curses and just connect us as family and forget all this other stuff. You ain't even got to be involved. Just give me her number. And you're not going to tell me that a big part of the reason why he probably was either procrastinating about it or just flat out ignoring it because he didn't want them to get together and swap stories. He didn't want them to get together and talk about the ways that he failed them. Because who wouldn't want, even if you're not going to be a participant, who wouldn't, as a parent, just be like, oh, shoot, maybe I wasn't thinking about that. But yeah, that would be beautiful that my children, at least, are creating the bond that I didn't create with them. But that takes humility. That takes humility. That takes accountability. That takes willingness to sit out on maybe like the opportunity to be uplifted and just be happy for the people that were able to find joy in the mess, in the chaos, in your mistakes. But they don't want to do that because they want to be lifted up as the kings and the patriarchs and the reason for the season. They want to be, he didn't want to do it. This is me. This is speculation. I'm speculating now. But I'm sure he did not want to do it because he knew at the end of the day, they weren't going to do it in service of him. They weren't going to do it to make him feel good. And he was probably scared that they was going to sit around and maybe come together and realize that they probably should have been joining forces and putting a collective foot on his neck. Because that's what he deserves. Right? He knows he deserves that shit. He knows that's what he deserves. And because he knows that's what he deserves, he could not see past that fear to a world where they just would have collected each other and went on about their business and just been happy and grateful. Because again, the fact that they have not been riding his neck this whole time means that they probably are the type of people that just, do what they can and keep it pushing. All he had to do was give that girl that baby's number. That's all he had to do. Or a name or Facebook or something. And so now he's sitting around. To his credit, though, he's not dragging her. She said, the way I would have had them donation feel. That's what I'm saying. He's been egregious with it. Coco, he has played in their faces, in my opinion. I love it for them that they seem to have been able to find peace and just live their own lives and not worry about him. But I'm saying he really been playing in their face. Collecting the millions of dollars over these years and be behind on child support, because I think that's what the issue was a couple years ago when one of the baby moms was like saying something or took him to court or something happened and it had to do with child support. And then he was kind of touching on it a little bit and he was admitting like he don't do like he's supposed to do. But he kept it pushing. Let me see. I'm trying to read these things. I'm going back, trying to read. He lost the plot. Yes, he did. Thank you for the follow, treacherous. I'm going back and reading the thing. And, this is the thing. So if anybody wants to come up and talk, you can talk. Press the little guest button at the bottom. Yeah. Because enough is enough. Like, enough is enough. I'm so tired of these people pontificating in this era of podcasts, bros, And all this talk about single mothers and how single mothers are failing the community. How we got so many men that don't have no access, according to them, don't have no access to their children and or do not want access to their children and or refuse to work or figure out the access they actually have to their children, because these men aren't going to court. These aren't the men who are in and out of court. These aren't the men who are doing what they got to do. Let me see. I'm trying to see something. Oh no, it said I had somebody there. These aren't the men that are doing what it actually takes. And people are saying their excuse for it is, oh well, they shouldn't have to fight for their kids. Yeah, well, the mothers shouldn't have to be single mothers either. The mothers shouldn't have to live lives that are completely devoted to the care and upkeep of these children either. They shouldn't have to. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do because the child is here and that's what it requires. That's what the child needs. We would all love a best case scenario, but in a not so best case scenario, oh, Alicia, in a not so best case scenario, you got to do what you got to do. Alicia.
Hi.
Hi, Alicia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just, I've just been listening. And so, how old is Dr. Umar?
Oh, child, I don't know. I want to say he's in his maybe his 50s. I think I've seen things where they said he's in his 50s.
Okay. Okay. This is just really disappointing. I guess I thought he was younger than what he really is because I don't know, the way that he acts is sometimes really immature. And so I'm just, okay. But
No,
that's
well, the thing is he is immature. First of all, there's something for me about a man or a person, but mostly a man with children who does not see the urgency and the importance of putting down physical roots just somewhere. And I'm not saying like he shouldn't travel or anything like that, but what I'm saying is when you have children, I do believe that it is important to have the stability of a physical place, especially if you're a co-parent or a custodial parent, to have the stability of a physical place where your children can come and be with you and be with you, when it's your time to lay their heads at, to have a dedicated place for your children. So that's why, like, when they were having the discourse about um the baby fathers not getting accommodations like apartments or houses where they can have dedicated space for their children and living like they don't have children and not seeing anything wrong with that, like, that speaks to something. There are implications of
yeah.
things there.
Uh, and thank you, Aquamet Methis. But yes, I even when you talk about like having a place to lay, so my parents they divorced when I was in college, but they were separated for way longer than that. And I never even knew that dads were supposed to have a dedicated space for their kids. Because when we had to do like visits on the weekends and stuff like that, um, every other weekend. And when I went, I would have to sleep on the couch. And so I was a teen, and it's like it's really uncomfortable because you need your things. You know what I mean? Like you need your space, you need your things, but it never really occurred to me. And he was also living with the whatever. He was living with another woman, but it never occurred to me like, oh, he's supposed to have a space for me. And I just think about how low the bar is for fathers. Period. Like this should not be normal. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. It's just in real life like unbelievable that this stuff happens and that he's allowed to continue to go to other people in the community, get money and stuff like this. And the whole time, like he's an awful person. He creates people and abandons them. Like that's a big deal. You know what I mean? And I don't
I
know.
do. No,
At
I
what
totally
point?
get and I appreciate you coming and giving that perspective, because for me, like, I talk about it a lot in terms of this idea of I'm the parent and I need to be mindful of what my child's experience will be of me. That is something that a lot of parents, men and women, do not move intentionally with the understanding of that. Right? You can tell by the way people talk about parenthood and like children's roles and the responsibility of a parent, or rather the authority of a parent and stuff. Like there's a lot of language where that is at the forefront, and there is no kind of accountability to, okay, what is my child actually going to have to say about me? They'll just write it off as, oh, you just want to do quote unquote gentle parenting, and in their mind gentle parenting is just being permissive to anything, and it's not. It's treating your kids like people. It's treating your kids like people. It's recognizing that if I were in my child's position, would I want or appreciate or, feel dignified within what it is that I am presenting to this child?
Just like imagine treating your children like people, right? Like,
It's unthinkable. It's
yeah.
like, and then, like I said, they'll turn around and know that, oh, this is permissive parenting. Like, no, I just saw the other day, my oldest daughter shared with me, it was these two little girls. The oldest one couldn't have been no more than like 6. And then another baby that had to be maybe like 3 or 4. And apparently the little one had snapped at the older one because the older one was offering help that the little one didn't want. And they were having a full on dialogue and expressing their feelings and being accountable to each other. And they wound up, the older one apologized for basically overstepping her bounds. And the younger one said, that's okay, and just hugged her because she knew she needed it. And it was, people were saying, like, yeah, this is what permissive parenting is about. It's about teaching people how to regulate your emotions, how to be accountable for how you're showing up for people. And if freaking toddlers can do it, why the heck can't parents? Why aren't parents expected and held to account to be able to do that? And for me, it's more so about when these guys, like I said, these legacy builder guys that have this talk about building legacy and being this, and the man needs to be the head, and da, 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 you have ruined at least 4 lives, in a sense.
Wow. Yeah. That's wow. Yeah, it's stunning when you say it that way. Like it's because it really goes to show that when they talk about legacy, they're not including their children. It's just really about themselves, right? Like um it's about money, it's about making a name for themselves, but it's not really about what really matters, you know?
No, because it's all about it, and the irony in it is 100% about, okay, how are people going to perceive me and how are people going to talk about me into the future, right? But not actually engaging with the work and the diligence and the responsibility of establishing and maintaining relationships, like I said, with the people who could be your biggest advocate in terms of that. Nobody is going to fight for you more than your family. Like we saw last night on that live, she was doing all of that foolishness, or you saw it this morning. That lady was doing all of that foolishness in defense of her friend. She was residually defending the indefensible of that man's family member on his behalf because of her relationship with him and who she knew him to be, which is a lovely thing that he's been such a good friend to her, and he sounds like a pretty stand-up guy. But his people, no. You know what I mean? Like, no. It's the relationships that you build and establish and maintain that are going to be, I say all the time, I know on my Instagram somewhere, there's a tile that says the legacy you live is the legacy you leave. That's my mantra. That's what I live by. So I'm going to be cognizant about how am I showing up for people. And if somebody has something negative to say about me, I have to say, is that fair? And it might be. There are times when I'm like, even if I know I didn't necessarily do something with a bad intent, based off of that person's perception and the impact that I had, from my orientation towards them, I may still do some harm that I don't mean to do. And it's all about being accountable and saying, I did that harm and I'm sorry. And how can I make amends? Or I did that harm and I'm just going to have to live with that because I can't make amends, or whatever it is. People aren't ready for that level of accountability.
Yeah. I mean, because like you said, it requires in a sense like humility, and these people are not willing to like humble themselves. And I know that word is kind of like triggering, but like in the way of like, oh, like I'm human, like make themselves human. Like I make mistakes. It is possible. And what you're talking about, like intent not matching impact, like we're all capable of that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know. I My heart goes out to the girl who was brave enough to come, to come public. Like I think that requires a level of bravery that maybe not even he has. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. And so,
Right.
go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
you're right. But you know why? And this is another part that I don't think people recognize is because for her, she's not worried about how she looks. She's not worried about, any of that other external stuff that he is more focused on. She's like,
Hmm.
I just want my sister.
Yes.
I just want my sister.
Yeah. Oh
And there's nothing wrong with, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to feel guilty about within that desire.
no. And the fact that people can even twist it to make it seem like she is somehow coming for him, like he is a victim at all in any of this, is so bizarre. And the fact that he also went, I think I saw a clip of him going live. I think you shared it, like of him talking about, oh, people are just jealous of him. That's why it's like,
Yeah, he's making about everything but what is at hand. Did you give that girl
yes,
the number she asked for? Did you
okay,
give that girl the phone number she asked for? You could have texted it to her. You could have Facebook messaged her. You
yes.
could have did a lot of things that did not involve you having to have a conversation with her if that's not what you wanted to do. But you could have
Yes.
facilitated what it was that she wanted, and you couldn't even do that. And now you're
Yes.
bringing in all this extraneous stuff that doesn't even have nothing to do with her. So what if her mother hates your guts? So
Mm-hmm.
what?
She's allowed to. Mm-hmm.
She's a lot aside from that, like not even getting it. I'm not even gonna
But
go there
yeah.
with him because at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. We're talking about the daughter. The mom
Yeah.
didn't come on and say a damn thing to you. This is about your daughter, and you're going to take it to a place where you feel like you have some kind of footing at what you actually don't. I'm pretty sure if she did what he wanted her to do,
Mm-hmm.
because I had a situation like that when I wrote my book. My baby father talked about, oh, can I talk about it? You can talk about it all you want to. I don't think it's going to pan out the way you think it's going to pan out, but you are more than welcome. And to this day, you don't know that man because he never said one word about the book because I had to make him think about it. What do you think people are going to say? How do you think people are going to perceive you? What do you think that you can say about the stuff that I said that was my experience of you that's going to make people go, oh, yeah, that makes sense? What do you think? What do you think you could possibly say? I hope the mom, I hope everybody comes. What lady say? I hope they all sit around and whoop his ass. Oh, I was leaving room for you to speak if you wanted to speak.
No, I agree. I think it's just like all this effort running defense, and you could have just been an upstanding person in the first place to avoid all this. Like,
Isn't
it's
that
just like,
so annoying? I think that's why I'm
yes.
triggered too. Because my oldest daughter's father was a lot like him. Charismatic, gift of gab, you know, in a general personable, entertaining to be around. He was a fun guy. And he seemed anyway, to want that admiration of being like a pillar of his community, of being someone that people looked to and said, oh yeah, that's a man. That's who you should aspire to be, and whatever. But when I would look at the ways he was showing up, like I said, in the lives of his actual family and children and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, you might want to take, if for nothing else, then, because if you do get notable like that, people are going to start looking for chinks in your armor. And you got a lot go. So you need to get this stuff. It wasn't even a thing of like me, like, oh, sit down. It's like, hey, I'm actually trying to help you and make sure that you got a solid footing so that nobody can knock you off your square. I believed in him, but they don't want to do that work.
Then don't be well. You can feel how you want to feel, but don't be surprised when it follows you and bites you in the butt. Like, there's no surprise here because you knew what you did. You like, you knew what you did, and so for me, this I don't know. I, to approach this with anything but like, oh, gratitude, like, mm. I don't know how else to feel except that he's an awful person. Like there's that's how I get to the bottom of it. That's all I feel is like he's an awful person.
He's definitely not a person of quality. You
Yeah.
know, that much is for sure. It's just like, what do you want? And but the thing is, I wrote him off a long time ago in terms of like taking him seriously. I look at him as an entertainer. Like I look at him, I just see the stuff and I laugh and I go
Mm-hmm.
on about my business. I do not take him seriously. But
Mm-hmm.
this really, like I said, triggered me obviously to the point where I felt like I needed to talk about it because it's just like, this is ridiculous. And I hate the way Crown Not on Tilt said exactly he's a con artist. I hate the way that, like I said, this young lady's intention is solely about connection and claiming her birthright and positive affirming things, actually uniting her actual family, which is his family that he created. And now it's become this thing where she's being exposed to people and he's not covering her and protecting her. Like, yeah, he called her the princess of Pan-Africanism, but he's still talking about it as if she is somehow wrong or she's in folly or she just doesn't know what she's doing because, oh, one day we're going to talk. I'm sorry, there's nothing you can say to me in terms of you being a parent of mine and not being there and continuing to choose not to be there for multiple decades, especially if what you're coming to me with is about, oh well, the other parent, something something something. Anything that you chose to do after I got to be, I'm gonna say around 12 and up, and you didn't get right with me and you didn't make that contact with me, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. In this day and age with cell phones and everything like that, there are plenty of ways to maintain contact with people and avoid other people you don't want to talk to.
You know, I got caught up early on, and well, I don't know how early he really started his work, but I kind of got almost swept into his grift. I think I like donated $10 to his school, but I think it was shortly after I donated the money that I realized like, oh, this is a mistake. Like he's not really he's not really this person. And again, I don't understand how he gets to pretend to be, I should say, this person who cares about community when he's holding his child away from her community. You talk about how important it is, and you're a hypocrite. Like, I mean, again, you're a hypocrite. And so for me, I want this girl to get her community. And I understand sadly, oh, yay. I understand sadly how heavy a role fathers play in siblings not having relationships with their siblings, you know, the of the father, I should say. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so it's really devastating. But yay, hi Crown.
Hi, Crown Not on Tilt.
Grand Rising Queens, and I don't know if it's Kings down in there, also. But yeah, this situation here, which I already knew he was a con. I call him a con artist, and he's has the gift of gab, where he sounds very intellectual, but he's a manipulator. I've that ever since I seen this man from way back in the day. That's how I always felt, and it was sayings back in the day of him being a deadbeat father back then. I don't know if it was the first child. I didn't even know he was up to three now. I thought it was two, one or two. And then to see this baby girl come out, and she has a right to that. These parents need to be held accountable, no matter how they're held accountable. And I bet you there are people telling this baby girl here what a lot of people do when the parents mess up the relationship with their children, whether they be deadbeats, whether they're incarcerated, whether they choose drugs over the kids, whatever. They will manipulate the child to say, "Oh, you need to go mend the situation with your mother or your father." And I know you all have heard it,
Yeah.
and it's not the child's place. They didn't break the relationship. They didn't do that. That's not on them.
Thank you for the rose. Thank you for the gifts, everyone.
And I
I'm new
hate that.
to this, so I'm sorry that if I haven't been reacting to it in real time, my eyes.
And it's a lot of that rhetoric that goes on in our I'm black, so I speak of our issues first in our black communities, and that's abnormal. A child should never have to mend something with the parent. The parent did the wrong things. The parent needs to come as a parent and take accountability. But that's one of the biggest words nowadays. And that's been one of the biggest words throughout history and generations. Accountability. Nobody wants to take freaking accountability. And then they're not teaching these children accountability. That's why when you tell these
No,
kids
they're
no,
not.
they
They're
flip
not.
out.
Because when you talk to people like him, and you talk to them about like the impact they're having on their children, they'll go back, and if you let them talk long enough, they'll start talking about something that they parent didn't do for them that they should have had. You know what I mean? And it's like
Exactly.
people are not dealing with their hurt to a level where they can come out of the past and step into the now of, okay, yes, you were the child who did not get what you deserved from your parent, but you turned around and became a parent yourself. So that has to be two different things. You can deal and heal and work on whatever that is and hold whoever needs to be held accountable for that, but you also need to be accountable to your child. You don't get to skate out on your accountability to your child because you were also a victim of that.
And then also with a lot of the manipulative cliches that are embedded into our people, the rhetoric, they'll be saying hurt people, hurt people. My motto is that's a gaslighting word to minimize the things that people do, or saying, oh, they've been hurt, so the way they do things, oh, that's because they've been hurt. Hell no. There are, in my model, there are hurt people who choose willingly to hurt others, and then there are hurt people who don't hurt anyone. So it's a lot of cliches and a lot of gaslighting manipulation that's been embedded into generations of our people. Not, I'm speaking because again I'm black, so I speak
Mm-hmm.
for other people are, but those are the things, like they say, love conquers all. Love does not conquer all.
Nope.
Now, if you sit there, you're going to be a fucking, excuse my language, you're going to be a freaking doormat. You know why? Because you're going to think love's going to cure this. Oh, he or she'll come around because of love. No, love does not cure or conquer all. I'm
It
telling you
the
so.
thing is, I learned, especially when it comes to talking about fathers and stuff. One of the biggest lessons I learned in having my children and seeing how their fathers could just walk away is love does not conquer all because these men don't even feel connected to their own children.
No, and they continue to make broken homes.
Yeah,
They
because it's
continue to make,
easy for them. They don't care. They really move on and just think, oh, this is just a stepping stone or this is just a stumble on my blood. Like they see themselves, and everybody should be the main character of their own story, but they're really so engrossed in them being the main character that they can't even see the character arc of, okay, now I am a parent and integrating that into their character.
and me as a female, I hold my females women accountable also, because a lot of this stuff that goes on with these men making these broken homes and doing what they do, they could not do it without these women who are making broken home, allowing them to make broken homes. You have women, you may not know who for one time is, to me, is a trial run if anything tend to happen. But these women are having continue to have babies by men like this. And then you have women who know these men are like this. They have broken homes somewhere else and they go procreate with the same type of man. Should be accountability all around the board.
Well, I think with black, and I agree with you in a general sense, but I do feel like there's an important nuance of the socialization of male worship in this society and this idea that women are embedded with from very young that they need to have a man or the attention of a man or whatever to validate their womanhood. And there is a thing of this idea of, oh, I got to get a man. And so now I have this man's attention. And so now I'm going to be silly about trying to crazily keep this man and or having a child with a man and then feeling like, oh shoot, I'm kind of stuck because I can't be a single mother in this world because you see how they talk about single mothers. So now I'm going to dig my heels in and make this stuff work with this one particular guy who is not the guy. You know,
But when is the point? You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, the one who suffers the most are these children. I mean,
yes,
women suffer, and you have men who been through certain situations, and they have their kids from the mother's not wanting to be a mother, but these babies suffer the most,
they do.
and they're vulnerable. And it's like, when is enough going to be enough? Because people going to keep procreating. You
Oh
know,
yeah, they absolutely are, and that. That's why for this platform, and I don't think you've ever been here. I've never seen you. I don't go live very much either, but my platform is about the nuances of single motherhood and black womanhood. My tagline is I help single mothers and black women to self-actualize with ease and grace. And a big
Mhm.
part of that is grappling with and processing and breaking down all of these belief systems and what it programming that we carry within us
Exactly.
that drives this behavior. Like I say all the time, before I had my first daughter, or before I got pregnant with my first daughter, I had all these wonderful visions and projection of where my life was going to be going. Like I was always a really great student. People thought great things were going to happen for me. Like I generally lived a pretty good life. But once I got pregnant, all these things went off in my psyche, which I call psychic landmines. All
Mhm.
these ideas about how I was going to be perceived and treated and stuff that I never thought about before. I never thought about how people were going to try to victimize me because I was a single mother. So they were going to assume that they could do certain things to me and or my kids. But now I'm deathly scared of that because it's my reality. You get what I'm saying? So it's like
Exactly.
it's so
Yeah.
many things that we're not thinking about. We're just kind of knee jerk reacting to in real time and still trying to hurt. I mean, trying to love and strive and everything else. And you can get to a point of despair. I know I was in a point of deep despair.
It's hard.
It's
You know.
very hard. And
It's
that's
hard.
why we need to be able to have these conversations, these real conversations and safe spaces where we can deal with being accountable, but accountability is not weaponized in the way that people like to weaponize it. Because when most people talk about accountability, especially when it comes to single mothers, they want to see blood.
That's that's just sick there. That aspect of accountability, and to people that do that, that's a whole nother realm. But in any situation and in any um just life, everything is unfortunately has been patriarchal, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't care. In this world and in religions also and all that other stuff where they're the detriment of the earth. To me, we need to go into more of a matriarchal way of the world. The woman, I always say the woman is the foundation. I don't care what they say, the man is the head of the house. No, in my view, the woman is the head of the house because when mama's away, guess what? The house crumbles from the
Mm-hmm.
head, you know?
We're expected to do everything.
Yeah,
And the thing is, as a woman and as a mother, I honestly don't mind caring for the people under my charge and in my sphere. I don't mind making part of my comfort, making my space around me, my bubble comfortable, is everybody else in my bubble being comfortable.
exactly.
So it's easy, like it's easy. For me, I've had the most trouble and static trying to do that with men around me because they're always so focused on self and they suck up all the air in the room. So everything is supposed to be calibrated to uplifting them. And that's why I say with this man in particular on this picture right here, it's pretty clear to me that his problem was that they weren't treating him like the Prince of Pan Africanism. They was treating him like their baby father. They was treating him like a responsible adult that was supposed to pick up some of the slack and be accountable and show up for all the minutia. But he wanted to be free and clear to go around and pontificate.
Exactly. And then to have these so-called degrees and this and that in the school he never opened. I felt sorry for people who just donated to his school. I mean, that's been going on for at least what, 20 years and so now before seeing this cat here, I'm like,
Listen, that school is just a whole like it blows my mind. And then be sitting there talking about gifts. First of all, the first I ever saw of him, like in a general sense, when I was seeing him on social media and stuff, and he'd be talking about gifts, donations, donations. I just didn't like the tone with which he was like scolding people for not giving more money. And so for me, that was, I won't even say a red flag, but it was a turn off because I was just like, who do you think you are? Like, nobody owes you anything. Anything you get is a gift and a blessing because this is your vision, right? And then as the years went on, and I'm still seeing in passing that he has not built this school, and I'm saying, oh, yeah, we almost had a school, but this happened over here. And then I knew exactly what it was hitting for when I was seeing him sitting around in casinos. He was sitting around in casinos And I was like, huh, okay, okay. So now I just look at him as an entertainer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just laugh and keep it pushing.
Have you heard his rhetoric? Black queens forever,
Yeah.
snow bunnies
No, and
never.
I saw when he supposedly, and hey Shay, I see you. We're gonna get to you real soon. I saw him with the double wedding.
Yeah.
And the women was wrapped in what looked like table linens or what, like it was just like he is completely unserious, and for him to have this much time to do all of this unserious stuff, to play all these games on the internet, but to also sit on the internet. I've seen him out his own mouth say how he did not have any contact with his own children. I already see what it's hitting for.
And a cult like people who follow him is
It's
amazing.
always going to be people. It's always going to be people. But I'm gonna let Shay talk. You can stay up, Crown. I'm gonna go ahead and let Shay talk. Hi, Shay. Welcome.
Hello, how are y'all?
Doing well in yourself.
I'm doing
Great.
good. I wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
I wanted to know why. I'm sorry, I don't know who stated this. Why we should go to a matriarchy?
Oh, that was to Crown's comments.
Well, in my views, when it comes to patriarchy, look what the patriarchy has done to the entire globe. Actually, I know it's normal. The male, the man is that lead in the household and this and that. But that also boils down to the religious aspect of that, because if those texts weren't there to say that, the man and the woman would be the same. Like, where is like I got into something with a guy. He said, well, a woman should be led. I said, no, she shouldn't. Since her leaving the womb, she has her own brain and her own legs and body to lead her. Why does somebody need a leader and a follower? Why can't they just be the same? So that's why I think we should go into more matriarchal. When
Okay. But if you're so what I'm trying to understand is you're saying men and women are equal, right? Is that what you're saying?
when it comes to, they should be equal. I mean, I don't. I mean, as far as strength and things like that, we know physiological, no.
Mm-hmm.
But just in the grand scheme of things, like if you think about why you hear the rhetoric and the egos of the men who always say they're the head of everything and they must lead and this and that. 99% of the time, it's because of religious texts and religious reasons why. But if it wasn't on any of that, we would be the same, in
Okay.
my view,
Okay. Well, if we take
level.
out the religious aspect, wouldn't it be accurate to say that, for example, a simple easy example, if someone breaks into your house, wouldn't you want that man to go find out what that is?
Yeah, but if anything, the way the world is, the woman to be down there trying to see before some of these men. We got more heart than. Well, we're taught that the man is supposed to be the warrior and the protector, but we're warriors and protectors
Right.
also. So that's why I say,
Well,
on certain
isn't that
aspects.
something that's been happening since the beginning of time?
But can I offer something? I'm sorry to interrupt, but to
No,
the
you.
point of matriarchy,
Hmm.
like matriarchy, under matriarchies, everyone is considered, right? It's not about a hierarchy based off of wealth or hoarding wealth or who has the most, and it's not about the hierarchy of men being the head and the women being below the men. It's about everyone being included, everyone being uplifted, because the least of these are taken care of. So like that's what a matriarchy really does. It's not really about, oh, the women are in power like the men are in power. It's a completely different system.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not like the same thing flipped.
But doesn't someone have to be, I don't want to say in charge, but doesn't
Yeah.
someone have to take the, yeah, I'll say it, take the lead?
Yeah, and
Well,
under a
yeah,
matriarchy, it would be the elders. It would be the people who have been here the longest, the people who are wise, as
Mhm.
opposed to the people who have the most money or the people, you know,
Who are the physical
soul.
strongest and could hurt you.
Right.
Mm.
So yeah, so it'd be a group of people. It wouldn't be one person. It'd be a council. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be everyone would be represented. Everyone would be cared for. So like it would be. So what I'm saying is that it would be hard to replicate that system for this example, just because it's because I feel like you all are having two different conversations. Crown is saying a matriarchy, and it feels like you're saying what it sounds like to be patriarchy, just reverse. And like that's not. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
I
Like that's
am.
not the same thing.
I definitely am.
Okay.
I have three sons, so I don't agree that my three sons should not be the ones that you know lead. I
What,
don't.
can I
I
ask?
don't. Sure.
Why do you think your son should be the ones to lead? Like what qualifies them for that?
I was going to ask that too. Like, what? Yeah.
Um. Well, I think what qualifies them, if for myself, speaking for myself, it
Mhm.
is because I do believe in the religious aspect as far as God, man, woman, and child. That is why.
Okay.
So for me personally, it's one of those things where that doctrine doesn't really take into account, and I'm not saying anything, that your sons are bad or anything. I don't know them,
No.
and you sound
Right.
intelligent, and so I'm pretty sure they're great boys. But what I'm saying is, and this is where I talk about implications. For you to say, oh, my sons just off the bat should be leaders, and implanting that idea into them, that means that when they go out into the world, that expectation is set, but it's not, there's
Hmm.
no basis in having to earn that. Because any leader, male or female, needs to
Hmm.
earn that spot and be proficient at it.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. But that's also taking a different aspect into it. You guys didn't ask me about earning to be a leader. It was just specifically about being a leader. It's not that I'm disagreeing with you, but that wasn't brought up.
I
Can I?
mean, yeah, but the idea of patriarchy says across
Hmm.
the board, and especially using things like religion, it also doesn't say any of that. It just
Hmm.
says a man should be the head, and that's it. And there aren't really any um, requirements outside of that. And there are a
Hmm.
lot of exclusions for women who may show up and have all of the credentials in terms of skills, mindset, and everything else to do the work. So, in a lot of cases, we'll see women, very capable women, who probably should be in a, not even a leadership, because I want to emphasize that it's not about leadership, it's about vision. And for women, the vision, we're just, I feel like we're socialized to be able to do that more. Our vision
Hmm.
encompasses the well-being of everyone, whereas patriarchy says nothing is right unless the man feels like the head, feels like the head. So there's a lot of room for tomfoolery, as we see in the world today. But
Hmm.
matriarchy is usually like, are you okay? Is everybody okay? And let's get everybody okay.
And then
Okay.
when it, oh, my bad.
Oh no, no, I was just saying okay.
And then when it comes to a lot of men in that type of to me entitlement of they must be the leader and they are the leader no matter what, their egos get so they're very egotistical, where, and I know a lot of our females have heard, women have heard, fellow women have heard this, when there's a female that uh it has makes more money, she may have more prestige, more accolades, more degrees, or whatever, it's always a type of male who would say she needs to be knocked down a peg, and they would
Hmm.
do whatever they can to make sure they knock you down a peg. You have those. That's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about either. When it's
Isn't it
the
isn't
delusional
it
sense
fair
of
to
it.
say that women do the same thing?
Yeah, you have women that do that too. But I'm speaking from a
Okay.
woman's point of view. When it and there are men who do that.
But I also want to say that women don't have the same power that men have. So it's not necessarily knocking them off their pegs because, like, we are their pegs under patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it.
It takes a lot for a woman, like, and you're right, there are women who abuse, I call it abuse of power and
Exactly.
abuse of influence. When any person, male or female, is in a position to have power over and or influence other people and they abuse it, that is wrong, regardless of
Right.
of sexual orientation. However, within a patriarchy, men have a whole system in place to back them up in doing so. And when people speak out against them and point out that they are doing that, they have a whole system in place with obstacles to either getting justice and or restoration and or just stopping that person from being able to do that.
Exactly. And the other one they all tend to say is she needs to know her place. You know, those are the
Because yeah,
rhetorical.
to just to piggyback on what you're saying, and that is the problem with this idea of just across the board a man should be the head. So as we see in practice in the world today, they don't care about what's actually happening. They don't care how people are being impacted in a negative way. They don't even care about people doing egregious and atrocious things that are male. As long as that male is in the position of power, everything is good.
And then they're grooming their daughters to follow suit and their sons to follow suit by, them doing the things that they do and the children see that. I, I have a big qualm with that, but you know.
And I want to be clear, it's not for me personally. I am not opposed to a man being in a position of power. But again, I'm very keenly attuned to what type of person outside of your sex are you? What is your vision about? Who are you thinking of when you're making these decisions? And how are you showing up? What is your impact? And so if a man comes and shows me that he is actually community minded and he's not just thinking of making sure that he is exalted, that he is a servant leader and is using his talents and gifts for the greater good of his community or his, whatever he is steward over, I don't have a problem with playing the background and supporting that person.
And the rhetorical things that's been said in history, and especially when it comes to women. Oh, women are so emotional and this and that. Look at the men that's in office. Just as an example, how emotional they are. Look at these men nowadays who can't regulate their emotion. A lot of them and have very low emotional intelligence. If a woman said she wants a divorce and she doesn't want to be with them anymore, instead of them going on, they annihilate everybody, including themselves. But they spew that rhetoric that women are more emotional and
But I
do
think
things
that
out of
I
them.
think that we can say the same thing about women too. It's like we're saying the same thing, but it comes off more of men are the problem.
Can I?
I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true. I believe there are a lot of emotional men here or in this, world, whatever, but it seems like it's more of a blame on men.
Well, we're going to come back to that. I want to
Okay,
give
I'm sorry.
some of the new people, no problem. I want to give some of the new people a chance to get into the conversation. Dim S. Dima, you were the first person up, and then we're going to have Extra Crispy, and then we'll have Terrell. So go ahead. Are you there, Dim? Okay, so we're not hearing you right this second. We'll circle back to you. Come on, my girl, Crispy.
Wagwan, brother, and how y'all doing? I'm just playing. How's everybody doing? I hope you ladies are well. Excited to see everybody. Very interesting topic. I just got a little bit of details. Uh, at least he laughed at me. I just got a little bit of details. Um, as it relates to the situation. So I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page as you all as far as this is concerned. So this is his daughter on the left, and she essentially came out and has stated that she was looking for one of her siblings, and then also her father has, who is Dr. Umar, has not been very present in her life for various reasons. And then Umar responded with some ad hominems. I think he called her, the stepfather, and the mother a smurf or something like that, and basically in uncertain terms denied that he was an unfit father and partner. Is that an accurate understanding of what has happened so far?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, and then to the topic, these legacy builders or quote legacy builders don't care about their actual legacy. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we all, whether we've experienced it in our own families, with our own fathers, or just in observation of some of our male counterparts, we have observed a lot of this behavior. And obviously, we've all been on the app long enough. We've had the conversations about patriarchy, white supremacy. We've had the conversations about the impact of chattel slavery chattel American slavery on black men's psyches and their behaviors. We've talked about the 80s and how the D-rug era impacted our community, et cetera, et cetera. But I think for me at this point in history, a lot of us, and specifically in this conversation, a lot of black men are making a choice to remain in delusion, than figuring out ways to solve problems and being a solution. There is a creator on the app named Deontay who made a very good point the other day about how a lot of people in our community, and the men in particular, will spend a lot of time, looking to the sky and talk about the Anunnaki and the Illuminati and how, the white man has him down and how black women don't support them. At the same time, the examples that I've seen in my life, most of the men that were down and out, needed help, needed community, oftentimes ran to the couches, the sofas, the arms, the front doors, and the electricity, the electricity containers, what is it, these little wall sockets of black women to assist them in some fashion or form. And I'm not saying that black women are perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We are not. There's plenty that we have to work on, but there's also something to be said, again, for the thing that we're talking about constantly. We're going to school, we're going to therapy, we're applying what we learn, we're buying homes, we're housing other people and their children, our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, our uncles, etc. So it's kind of like, when is enough enough? When do we, number one, stop coddling black men, whether they are our sons, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers? When are we going to stop softening the blow? Because as black women, we all know what we face, whether you are a corporate black woman, whether you're a black woman in higher academia. I know a lot of PhD black women who are fighting the bureaucracy in the academic space, whether you're a black woman in a blue collar job, whether you're a manager at a McDonald's. We are constantly running up against people, and organizations and systems that are essentially propagating violence towards us, whether it's verbal violence, emotional, spiritual, physical violence, financial violence, etc. And I don't want it to make it seem like, oh, it's all black men's fault. It's not. We understand that systems are operating against them. At the same time, we are operating in the same systems that are operating against them. And what I am finding is a consistency is that, number one, a lot of our men don't listen to us. We will tell them exactly how to govern themselves in certain spaces, how to seek out certain opportunities, to get licensure in certain different industries, etc. And because we are women, merely because we are women, they won't listen to us. They have to hear from their barber, from their brother, or a pastor, or Al Sharpton, or whatever it is. And so it's like we get tired of running our mouths trying to tell y'all what is the best direction to go in because we've done the work and our lives are, reflective of that. And so it's like, what else is there? And then also to specifically the point of Dr. Umar, similar to that Isaac Hayes situation, we clocked Umar years and years ago. And as intelligent as he is and as well read as he is, and we're grateful for all them psychology degrees that he got, what has come of it other than you becoming internet fodder and a quote unquote hotep influencer, if you will? And then on top of that, we know that the rhetoric that you have been peddling is not consummate to the life that you have been living. We know you have two children by two different women. And one of the things that you are constantly peddling across college campuses, the internet, and any man with a podcast mic's platform is that, black queens forever, snow bunnies never. But you won't even treat your black queens appropriately to be an example for the men that you claim that you're trying to lead or trying to at least give some advice to. So it's like there's this level of disingenuousness and inauthenticity where you will say things that you're not doing and you don't have anything to show for it. Or even when we talk about educating our children, I thought the idea of that school was wonderful. You have said many things, gone on the Breakfast Club, you've, fundraised, all these different types of things. And what do we have to show for it? We get sick as black people of y'all playing in our faces. You taking our money and running off on the plug. It's not cute, it's not fun, and it makes you untrustworthy. And then lastly, because I don't want to pontificate for too long, but for you as a purported Pan-African prince, as a father figure in your community, as a stalwart for what is supposed to be love and justice, and equity for black people, and in particular black women, to mistreat and mishandle your daughter, your seed, in this way, what type of example are you setting for other young men and other black men who are fathers or who are trying to navigate the system? Because I'm not saying that, again, all of us black women are perfect. Some of us are keeping our children away from their fathers because of jealousy or because I'm mad with you because you don't want to be with me, et cetera, et cetera. But that is the exception to the rule. The rule tends to be that you all drop your kids off with the woman that you had children with and you move on. And so if you're trying to set some type of example in your own life, it's not showing up appropriately to call your child a smurf, to call the mother of your children a smurf, to call the stepfather who stepped in when you stepped down, to call him a smurf, to insult him and the time and energy that he has poured into and invested in your child, your seed. It doesn't make any sense. You making everybody look crazy. And, you know, a broken clock is,
This
I'm
is
sorry, go ahead.
so sorry, but you said a few things. I'm like, you are an example, and you want to be an example. You being him, he wants to be an example. He wants to be an example of what our community could be.
Yeah.
You got to have your stuff together. You got to have your stuff right. And like I said, for me, it's not about, oh, you got to marry every single person. That's it. You know, everybody makes mistakes. Stuff happens. We're young and then we get older and wiser, right? But
Yeah.
the fact that you wanting to lead a nation couldn't even gather these four people and come up with a consistent schedule or situation where everybody's needs are being met. And again, this is that matriarchal mindset we're talking about when we talk about a matriarchy of going, okay, how can everybody in this situation under my command get what they need?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really all we're looking for. And unfortunately, patriarchy and this idea of a male brain and how men are supposed to be and this and that and the other does not facilitate that. That's the problem. It's not
Yeah.
about just trying to down men because we're trying to down men. We're downing the systems and the ideologies and the practices and the context in which men have been framed that does not work for the greater good.
Yeah. And last but not least, and I will yield. I really need for our black men, if y'all are not going to listen to us, at least look at some of these examples out here, whether it's Dr. Umar or anybody else. If you are constantly seeing a man or a group of men be chastised by the women in your community for their behavior, it is probably in your best interest not to participate in that same behavior. And oftentimes you all will participate out of spite,
Yep.
out of negligence, and a myriad of other reasons. But let me ask this. Is it getting you where you need to go? Are you laying in the arms of the black woman that you want to love you based off of these types of behaviors, based off of these oppressive systems? If you're not getting what you want, that means you're operating in insanity because you keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different result.
Thank you, Crispy. You can go ahead and stay up, girl. We already know. Present Angel, thank you for being so patient and waiting. I see you, Uday 718. We're going to get to you after Present Angel.
Peace, everyone. I'm so happy to have come across this conversation because I've been seeing so many different opinions on it. But the fact of the matter is, he fooled us because he portrayed this type of image to us via social media and made us believe in his message. And his message was pro-black and just uplift the black woman and the black woman uplift the black man. And he talked down on so many broken situations in our community. So for him to have this type of broken situation, everybody is like in awe. But this is his past. If he were to have come to us with us knowing this past and him being against it and preaching for change, then maybe everybody's reaction towards this situation would not have been so bad. His daughter reaching out to him prior to taking it public, I felt like that spoke volumes too, because her being 22, she has no idea what her mother and father went through to get to never speaking again, her not meeting him, and all of that. Things transpire when you're pregnant, after pregnancy, when children are 1 and 2 years old, things that the parents will never speak about again. But we are traumatized as a community because we're the products of these parents just ignoring their emotional intelligence so that they can build a good person. They actually tear us down before we even start building. So his situation should not be overlooked because he should have come straight up into his 20 years of teaching us how to be one and said, when I was younger, I created a few children that I couldn't have a relationship with their mother. And what I do is I make sure I'm there for them through child support. And when they're old enough, they'll be able to reach out to me on their own and I'll make this better. But due to jealousy or due to whatever the situation may be, because you don't have to pour out your entire situation in your heart to know that something transpired in a relationship. Like, we're women and it's a man up here too. We know that things happen. And it's just really sad, especially with him saying, oh, send me these donations for the school that he never built. I actually built a school in my community and I got no donations worldwide, but I didn't seek them. It's not for the validation of me being the founder of it, because it's somebody that's ahead of my life that made me become the person that I needed to be to step up to do that. See, I feel like he has a really good gift of gab, and we are in this era of 30-second clips and 60-second clips, and we don't know people personally, and oh, that's a power couple, oh, that's a powerful black man, oh, that's a powerful black woman, but then you don't know these people outside of those 30 seconds and 60-second clips, and you do not know that behind closed doors he's an abuser, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Look at the way you said it perfectly, Extra Crispy. Look at the way he called them Smurfs. As a highly educated man that holds that type of stature in our community, quote unquote, why would he respond in such a negative way? Like, why wouldn't he respond to protect his image? Because maybe that is his image.
I'm sorry to jump in, but why wouldn't he just respond to what she actually talked about? She said, "I want
Yes,
to connect with my sister." You're
but he
talking
said,
about all
but
this
this is
other stuff.
narcissist
She said, "Connect
behavior.
with my sister."
He had to show us that he is a true narcissist, because this is the way that God works. When you go to someone and you ask for something, their spirit will actually tell you exactly who they are. So what happened is, in public, we were shown who he is. His sensitive side comes out when it gets down to his children, his baby mamas, the things that he does not want you to know. So look at how sassy and catty he became versus how educated and dominant he normally sounds to us when he's speaking on us. He knows everything about us, and he knows everything about why we shouldn't and why we should do things, but he didn't know how to respond back to his daughter. He had to call her a Smurf
He
and
did.
say, we want to sit down with the other Smurfs
He
and
called
have this
her.
conversation, and I'm going to have this white man paperwork. Why did that paperwork matter if she's saying that you were absent in her life and she wants to have a relationship with her sister?
He
She
called
never
her
said,
Smurf.
I'm
She
missing
said,
money.
"Hey, I want to talk to my sister." She said specific things. He dismissed what she was saying to and about him and requesting of him with, "Oh, she's just been brainwashed by her mother. And now let's talk about her mother. Her mother needs to come to account, to be held account for this. And all of you people." So it became about everybody but her, because he really could not speak to what she was actually speaking to.
Narcissistic behaviors. He never wanted to address his part. He continuously said what the mother had done. So now he's basically implanting in our head that the mom has done something so severe that he had to step out of her life for 22 years. That's what he wants us to believe. His response. Oh, once you hear what she did to me, then you're going to be, I hope you have that same attitude towards her when you find out what she did in her past. As if, oh, she slept with my cousin, brother, dad, and everybody, and she ended up getting pregnant by me, and I found out it was my baby, and I'm just taking care of you, and you on child support. Go ahead and tell her the truth. It's like some real life women bashing, when he really just should have held himself accountable. Because I don't care what, I'm a woman, of course, but I have a husband that whose mother stepped out of his life for 19 years. She gave birth to him, lived on the same street as him, y'all, raised on the same street as him because she gave birth to him in her early 20s. His grandma raised him 4 doors down from where she lived. She never came to see him. She never wrote him a card, a letter, sent him a birthday gift. She never did anything. He was told by an adult at 19 years old, I think I know who your mom is. And that's how he met his mom. So women will do the same thing to their children. It will turn their backs and not take care of their children and not pay for their child support either. They will do the same thing as a father will do. So in our community, we're looking at people that are emotionally unintelligent because they do things that they don't understand is going to traumatize these children forever. And then guess what they do? Well, he slept with my friend. That's why I left him with the kids. She did this to me. So I ran off never to see y'all again. I'm sorry you 45 years old and just finding out that I'm your father. They
Right. And
literally
I
go
never
through
called
the
your phone or found you to talk to
it
you.
never called you, never tried to find you, nothing.
It
Like
established a
it's my
relationship
fault.
with you as an individual person outside of that other person that I'm upset with. Um,
Exactly. And then it turns
Umar,
to the child's fault after that.
I'm sorry to
Because
cut
they
you
start
off.
saying, well, why don't you reach out to me, the child? Why didn't you reach out to me? Why didn't you find me? Now we in a situation, oh, buy me something. Take care of me. Come see me. This child, they don't even call me. They don't do this for me. Well, why would you expect that type of relationship from someone that you abandoned?
I want to give a
Why
chance
did
to let the other people get in and say that we can all, you don't have to leave or anything. We can all get into a thing, but we get in a full panel, and I want to get everybody to get a feel for why everybody's up here, and then we can have a dialogue with everyone included. So I
okay.
think it's Uday, and then Northern, and then Melian, I think.
Peace. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
How y'all doing? I just want to say my piece and I'm gonna get down. And again, this is no offense to any woman up here, and I'm gonna go real deep, and it may offend a lot of people, but just hear me out before you speak. I believe that a lot of this comes from the beginning of time, of how when you say you praising Jesus, but in truth, we've been praising a man. The whole beginning of time they didn't want to praise women. It's all been about a man. And like I tell a lot of people, if you were to get the sides of how it happened from a woman's side, the Bible would be totally different. Now let me get to my point. The young lady said something earlier how we only have 30 seconds of clips and that's all you're seeing about these people. What bothers me is, and again, this is not to gloat myself, but you have many men like myself who's been with their wife for 25 years, taking care of their kids, but we constantly get bashed because the world don't deem it to be, don't deem it. We're not the perfect people, but a man like that get up there and he says the correct things, he says the right things, and then as soon as that he panders to women and men, he panders to women and men and make them feel comfortable, but there's nothing truth behind it. Just like the podcast of all these people that get up there have all the greatest relationship advice, but they're not with nobody, and it just doesn't make any sense that that people are so quick to follow people without doing the due diligence of the people. And as soon as something go left, the due diligence go crazy. Everybody find out why doesn't that happen from the beginning? It's the same guy with the guy Derek. He was pandering to the women. All the women love him, and then you find out he being a horrible man. Then you have this gentleman that has given us a lot of knowledge, so called, but he not even taking care of his daughter. And then you have men like myself who real. We're not the perfect gentleman as the world would be, but my timeline represents that, which is like I said, with the same woman for 25 years, taking care of my kids, but you don't get the same type of energy if I don't get online and start pandering to the woman, saying what I want, saying what they want to hear, or telling the man what they want to hear and stuff like that. And the reason why I bring up the Bible and stuff like that is because that's all it's been doing from the beginning. is shaming the woman, shaming this, and then the man. And so now that the man is trying to create a like him trying to create a space, but it's still the same thing. It's all still the same thing when it comes to a man. And I'm a man. I'm a man who support the man, but it hurts my feelings because the kids have nothing to do with the relationship with the woman. I don't care what the woman does. You still lay there between her legs. You can support your kids. So it really lost me on the fact that he going so hard, but don't take care of his kids. Like that is a big thing, and I don't see how people can support that. I don't see how people can even make room for understanding. There is no understanding. There is no understanding for a man not to take care of his kids. I'm not being a pick me. I don't care. My wife can be the worst woman, and I'm still gonna take care of my kids. So it really baffles me that and this one it really threw me off because I don't necessarily support Dr. Umar like that, but his messages come off like, okay, I'm about the black community. You can never be about the black community if you don't take care of your own. That's where it started at. And I just think that it starts with pandering to the woman and the man too, but more to the woman because the women, they're looking for that man that is upright, that's this, that's that. But in truth, it's far in between, and it always will be far in between. It's really sad, man. And like a lot of men don't like me because I don't have friends. If you don't take care of your kids, I don't care what the woman does. The woman ain't got nothing to do with us. The woman ain't never got nothing to do with us when it comes to taking care of your breed. And so to me, that's where I believe women can start when it comes to judging a man. Do you take care of your breed? If you don't, you are not a good man. That will
Period.
never change. It will
Period.
never change. I don't care if the woman slept with your brother, your mother, your sister, your cousin. The kids have nothing to do with that, B. And it shows how bitter and it's sad because I'm the type of man that want to stand up and yeah, man, this, man, that, man. They continue to show me why women think about us the way that they do, and it hurts my feelings, man, because it's like it's men like me and other men out here that's really holding it down, but the men that get the platform are the men that's horrible. And I ain't gonna say he horrible because I don't know him personally, but it's horrible to me for you to have a platform you have, speak the message you speak, and you don't take care of your kids. And any man who can hear this, you are a coward to me if you do not take care of your kids. What's between you and your woman, even if she putting you through the ringer, your job is to make communication with that kid to let them know that you love them and I am here for you whenever we get past this. But he didn't come off like that. He coming off like, okay, whatever. That's not a black king and that's not a black leader of the community. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much. Everything you said was all facts. I, for one, was not offended. I agree with everything you said, and I appreciate you. You can stay up if you like. We're going to move on to Northern, then Melian, and then Jason.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I agree with some of the things that he said, but I think I have a very different opinion about what's happening. So I don't know if everyone wants to speak, and then I'll give my opinion post, or I don't know how you want to do it.
No, you can go. You were the next one up after him, so you can
Okay.
go ahead and say your piece, and then we'll have the next person after you, and then the next person after that.
Okay, no problem. Um, I think what's very sad in the Black community is the hypocrisy, and we don't hold each other accountable. We don't hold each other accountable for the same thing that Dr. Umar is doing in public. We all have family members, friends, cousins that we should be holding accountable just as much as we're holding him accountable. But what happens when he's out of work really shouldn't be, I believe, our business. Because when he's at work,
He is an example of what it is that he talks about. If we didn't know personal things about these people, we would all have very different opinions of them. So we can look at people in our past and see how they tried to take down our leaders, but we don't do that in real time. And women, black women, don't hold the men accountable that they are dating to be the male figure in the child's life. So the child has no male figure except for the people that they see on TV. So if you want to attack the youth, who do you attack? The people on TV. So I just feel like in order for us to come together as a people, we need to stop dealing in personal emotions. We got to start thinking level headed and letting examples like this that happen remind us of what we need to deal with in our community. The people who are personally affected by this so much, what's going on in your community? Or is this something this to talk about and gaslight each other? Because this is embarrassing in my opinion. Talking down a black man that's trying to do whatever he's trying to do. The little girl, I respect whatever it is that she's going through, whatever it is her experience is, but she needs to talk to her mother. She needs to talk to her family. She said that she tried to reach out to him. She needs therapy. This is not something you come to the internet with airing black people's business. For us to be talking about things like this on this type of platform, making each other look bad. That's how I feel though, respectfully.
Yo, you're entitled to your opinion. I get where you're coming from, but one of the things is like, as someone who put yourself out on the forefront, you open yourself up to this. My main thing is if you want to be a leader of many, I need to see what you do. I need to see what kind of a steward you are of what is yours within your dominion. Your children are the main and only thing kind of that we really can put claim to in this world. So if you won't take the time to get that under control, that says a lot about you. And I want to be clear, just so you know, talk about these things earlier, but this is just to give you a context of the space you're in and everything. My
Hmm.
platform is Level Up Single Mom.
Hmm.
My platform is to help single mothers and Black women self actualize with ease and grace. One of the main things I talk about on this platform is the experience of the children and being cognizant and accountable to our children. So I'm a woman facing platform first and foremost. So whatever's going for the women also goes for the men. In this man's particular case, I've been seeing him for years now and watching him. I already just thought he was entertaining at best to me. I never really took him seriously. But to see the things that he is requiring of the people in our community, the things that he is admonishing the people in the community for, just everything that he talks about and supposedly stands for, is actually a slap in the face to the people that actually need him, which would be his children. And so that's why I'm talking about it from that perspective. It's not necessarily about, oh, I just want to tear a black man down. This is something that is very close to me as a daughter and as a mother of how parents feel like it's okay to fail their children and nobody, they don't have to answer for it, even to their children. So it's not so much about how he's responding to us, it's about how he responded to his dad, for me.
Now, thank you for explaining your platform to me because I am new to your platform. And matter of fact, let me just go ahead and, yep. So I understand what you're saying. Respectfully, I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is he needs to be an example of what it is that we hold the people in our community responsible for. Like if we have this same energy for him, why is it not the same energy for the community? Why is it not the same energy for us individually? Why is it not, you know what, I don't agree with what's going on in his personal life, but this message is what resonates with me. And I follow him and I agree with him. I follow him. I'm a supporter of him. Every time he has an interview, I listen to him. What happened is unfortunate, but it's happening every day in our community. Why are we jacking him and not talking about what's going on in our community, which is really what's even more important. But in this situation, it's really not important. It's embarrassing for us to be having this conversation. We don't hold nobody accountable but celebrities, which is the same thing as idol worship. When it comes to worshiping, either it's worshiping positive or negative. It's the same thing. And that's what's wrong with the black community. We'll never come together if everything is so emotional, in my opinion. respectfully.
Absolutely. No, I get where you're coming from, and equally respectfully to you. For instance, Meg Thee Stallion wore a dress that I personally did not like at whatever that event was. I don't even remember what it was because I don't watch them award shows anymore. But she wore a dress where her breasts were exposed except for pasties. And I
Hmm.
didn't like the dress myself, just from a fashion standpoint. I think it could have been so much more if it wasn't that. But
Hmm.
aside from that, people are saying like, oh, she's Sherry Shepherd specifically was like, she is an example, whether she wants to be or not. When you get a certain level of visibility, you do become an example. And she's just singing songs and stuff. This man is actually going out and saying, hey, I want to be a leader of the community. So if you step into that realm of wanting to lead people, of wanting people to follow your lead and follow your vision, then this is how you hold leaders account. That's why we're in the mess we are now in this country, because people did not hold Orange Man to account properly, or they said, oh, well, he did that stuff, but it shouldn't matter. Let him do what he wants. And now we're in the pot we're in. Leaders need to be held account the most. So if you want to be a leader, you also have to be open to being brought to the table and scrutinized.
No, I think that he's definitely able to be brought to the table and excuse me, and be able to have a conversation. And I think that he should be held accountable to whatever his moral standard is. And with Megan Thee Stallion, if she chose to wear that, that was her business. And if she's an example to the kids whose parents allow her to be an example too. So that's not really my concern, respectfully.
Yeah,
Because if I don't want
I
my
don't
kids
feel some
seeing a
type of
certain
way
type of
about what
thing,
she wore. I don't
if
feel some type of way about what she wore. I just didn't like it, style wise. But I'm saying like people are saying, oh, if you are visible like that, that also comes with people looking up to you, and in some ways
because
wanting to emulate you.
I just honestly feel just it's just so much hypocrisy because she's an example, which I don't want black people and celebrities to be examples. You tell them they're not examples, they're not, this is not idol worship, we don't worship you. But anytime they drop a piece of tissue on the floor, everybody has something to say about littering. It just does not make rational sense to me. I understand that Megan Thee Stallion is an example. She is, whether she likes it or not. She chose this role. This is what comes with it. But at the same time, there's other people talking about lesbianism, all type of sexuality that is not appropriate for me to take my kid to school as a kindergartner to be hearing on the way there. So I don't let him listen to it. If I don't like the innuendos of SpongeBob, my kids are not going to watch it. SpongeBob is an example to some kids. He's not an example to mine. So we can't look at celebrities to parent our kids. If that was the case, why are parents not looking up VPNs? Why are parents not getting into what Bitcoin is? Why are these parents not explaining what financial security is? Why are parents not understanding what Trump is actually doing and how they need to prepare themselves? Why is this the topic of conversation? I understand it's in
Hello,
the
how
news,
can
but it's just hypothetical, not.
I got
how
you.
does this work? Do I get to raise my hand or this
I'm
No,
is
you
my
gonna mute
first time
myself.
in here?
If you want me to step down, I'll step down.
you
I
don't
don't,
have to step
however way you
down.
want to do it.
You don't have to step down, but I do want to get to people. But I feel like
No, yes, of course. Sorry.
Melian was on here before you, chemistry. If you want to let Melian talk, and then you could come in after.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Hey everybody, peace to the panel, peace to the host, peace to the topic. Hope everybody having a blessed day today. We heard some great back and forth about this situation, but we got to deal with ugly truths here, okay? With respect to the young lady's argument, the reason why this man is a topic of conversation is because he's getting paid to be. See, I don't. Maybe I'm one of the few people, very, very, very few people in our community, right? From the rip, I think, I mean, even before this situation happened, me and my friends knew who he was. Not because we from Philly and he's in and out of Philadelphia and all that. No, we can see a salesman a mile away, and that's exactly who he presented himself to be. Like the age old saying always goes, follow the money, right? So if you're such a community activist You believe in your people so much and want to do so many great things by your people, then why are you you've been requesting funds and selling books and making money hand over fist for years out of our community. And why does it feel like a mega church pastor here? That's the feeling he always have given me in my small little circle of people I know. You know what I'm saying? I have watched him bash and demean and degrade other black men for their life choices, for the way that they carry themselves, for who they date, who they marry. He literally crucified other black men for doing certain things. He's written books, going up online, on YouTube, on multiple platforms, speaking engagements, getting check after check after check. And the Pierre de Resistance is the school he was supposed to build. He has generated a lot of black dollars over the years from our community because he sold himself to our people as a leader. And at the same time, he spread a bunch, in my opinion, he spread a bunch of hate. But again, before this situation happened, this is the stuff that I've been seeing over time watching this man. And then all of a sudden this story comes out. So I didn't want to be judgmental from the rip because, it's always two sides and then it's the truth to every situation, right? So when he finally opened his mouth to speak on this situation, he didn't own up to any of his doings within this. He started talking about the mother, the children. That's the way it goes. Like what? Like what? Like what? Like hold on one second. You're being accused of being a deadbeat father, and yet you're claiming to be the next black leader as if the second coming of Malcolm X in our community, and you are a deadbeat dad. And then when you're accused with it, certain accusations, I've actually watched other interviews where he has been out on dates and been very disrespectful to females and like coming out of their mouths. And people visited his school, and the school is boarded up, but hundreds of thousands of dollars have been generated. The first thing in my mind is, I'm like, man, he's like the Joel Osteen of our community. He's just getting money out here. I saw that a mile away. A lot of people didn't agree with me in the beginning. They thought I was hating on him. And then, like I said, all of a sudden, this situation comes up. And he didn't own up to none of it. It's like, it's everybody's fault but him. Like, you trying to tell me in all this time as a man, you can go back and forth to visit your mother in and out of Philadelphia and take care of your mom and all that, and you knew you had kids, and you're telling me financially and supportive wise you would not step up out of all this time, and then you're trying to sell me on my blackness, and we're not supposed to hold that accountable after all the black dollars you done swindled out of our community. That's the man I saw all this time. Maybe I might be the only one. Maybe it might be a small community of us that seen this coming. I saw this ever since I watched them call dudes bunny lovers, and you hate your own people, and you hate the black race, and you hate yourself, and you cooning, and you this, and this comes up. I'm like, I knew it. I just knew it. He's a snake oil salesman. Always has been. I can't respect him. I don't care what skin color you are. But the problem is he has been getting paid from the black community for years, selling, empowerment. That's his game. He's been selling black empowerment to our community. We need more black banks. We need more black schools. Black this, black selling it to us, and we've been paying for it. That's the reason why the black community should hold him accountable. Not because he's a celebrity and not because, he's in the forefront. No. He stepped up and said, I'm the next coming to Dr. King. That's who I am. Last time I checked, Dr. King didn't get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and write books and had a book deal and and went on all these platforms for the paper. He did it for the genuine love of his people, and then he took care of his family simultaneously. That was the leader we all grew and loved. That's my take on it. If you feel some type of way about my perception upon that man, that's you. But like I said, I promise you, if anybody can hear the sound of my voice, watching this guy move, watching this guy grow his platforms and his money and grow his situation, I seen this coming. It's just weird that it happened today as far as this situation and this coming out that, he's doing what he's doing, not doing right by his children, and then not even wanting to take ownership of it. That's the part. No man, no matter what color you are, as fathers and as husbands, we can't respect you. No, we don't. We just don't. You're going to sit up here as a man and say, well, you don't know what the mother did. Stupid. What did you do? Nothing. You did nothing for all these years. You sitting online eating steak and lobster. You're getting money off your book deals. You're getting money off of YouTube views. You in a breakfast club. You are Mr. Popular, and your child is without a father, and you are selling me black empowerment. Make that make sense. And I'll land with that. Thank you for letting me talk, host. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Please do come back again. We appreciate your input. So it's going to be chemistry. Then it's going to be faithful travels. Then I'm on I can't read the rest. I don't know. And then it's going to be black.
Call me Renee.
You can call me Renee, ma'am.
I was here before both of them. Okay, but go ahead, chemistry.
Okay. Sorry.
Faith, if you were here before me, that's fine. You can go ahead.
You all can go. My apologies.
Mm-hmm. And let's respect the host. She may have lost the count. So
yes, I'm not coming in. When you guys come in, you're filling the empty boxes. So I'm trying my best to keep up with who's popping in where. But because it's not in order visually, it can challenge me. So just, tap me and let me know. It's not personal.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not personal. So let's govern ourselves accordingly.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform. I agree with Northern. I'm on both sides of this. And the reason being because it happens in our generation many times. And accountability. Elon Musk have 11 kids. I'm pretty sure he's not doing for all of them. So we have to come together and get to the bottom root of this. Because I have had children, according to them, they said I might be the worst parent in the world. What I know is I gave all that I could. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on the situation, how deep it is. And we shouldn't be looking at Dr. Umar as an example from my perspective anyway, because nowadays in my generation, we was taught from older people. Older people taught us and we learned from them, if that makes sense. Now it's put a kid in front of a TV while everybody go about their business. So it depends on how deep this is. And why did she wait so long if his phone number was the same as he said as 20 years ago? I'm kind of confused on this.
Are you asking that question?
Yes.
Okay. So just to bring you up to speed, this clip I have here, or this picture I have here, is a screenshot in a video where she's saying, hey, I'm coming to the internet because I've been trying to get in contact with him and he will not respond to me. And I just want to be connected with my sister. So she has a sister by another woman that's not her mother, that he is the go-between, like he is the connection. And she was trying to get in contact with him to connect her with her sister through him, and he was not responding to her. And so that's why she came and started making these, saying what she was saying. Apparently, she's about 22 years old, and I know me personally, I have seen him on his lives casually talking about how he had no contact with the children he had at that time. So she's not saying anything. She's not actually dropping any bombshell information or new information. She's just saying, hey, I asked my father to do this and he did not do this. And I don't know why he's not doing this.
And so now I'm going the next step or the next route that I have within my control to try to accomplish this thing that I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's sad. But thank you for answering my question. But I don't look up to anybody. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't put my faith in men. Period. I don't care who it is. So whether he be held accountable or not, it's been going. We should hold Trump accountable. We don't. So it's time for us to get back to our own community and try to figure out what's going on, because there's a lot of mothers going around on the opposite side that's not letting these children even see their kids, even the father see the kids or the grandkids. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like my daughter, I spent buku money on my grandkids. She would not let me see them.
That's
I
unfortunate
cook.
to
I'm
hear.
a Gen X. I do everything. I have bought them clothes for my house. I took them to Atlanta last year, first time on. I did all kind of stuff, and she's still not happy. I mean, how much more do you want? You can't get blood out of a turnip. You're not even doing half of the things I'm doing.
Well, I'm sorry that that's your experience. I'm sorry that's happening. Um, yeah, I'm sorry that's happening. I guess okay. So Renee, did you say I could call you Renee?
I think
And
someone else was before me too. I
they
can wait. It doesn't
mm,
matter.
they drop down. So then it's you, and then it's Black Beyond.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. Thank you for having me up. As it pertains to him, this isn't necessarily surprising to me. I think when you really pay attention to a lot of the people that speak in certain spaces and the spaces that they're key to go to, and the things that they say, you can clearly tell that this was going to end up coming about eventually. But it's not even really about him to me. I think it's about us as a people. We have to be very careful about the people who we decide to call leaders, because ultimately he can call himself the king of whatever he wants to. But we have in our love of what he's saying, and us even like liking what he's saying, we have in some way, shape, form, or fashion, if we are um into him in that way, have put him up into an idol. And now all of a sudden, some things come out, and now it's, oh my god, I can't believe he's done that. If you pay attention to him and what he said, eventually something like this was going to come out, by how he speaks about child support, about relationships, about certain key things that he says. This isn't surprising. But I think, like I said before, it's about us, and it's about what we allow, and how we are so easily, because we feel like there's no leaders and there's no one to help us. And, we are so thirsty for leadership, and what are we going to do as Black people, as a community, and who's going to be the leader? We're so eager to think about those things when we really honestly are not putting ourselves in position to be discerning about who we decide is a leader. Like, we don't have clear discernment as to who that person is, because we don't really necessarily understand. We don't have a certain code in Blackness as it is. To me, I don't think we're not all monoliths, and that's the thing that's going on. But honestly, truly, we do need to have a standard amongst one another. And so, because we don't have that standard, I think it's very easy for us to, have leaders that we find out fail, and now we're heartbroken about it. Because we don't really have a key person that we go to, a higher power, a certain code of conduct as far as who we are. So that's what makes it hard for us to be able to really key point certain leaders in the community, or even be able to accurately call them that. But I think if we would have studied, then this is kind of okay. And the fact that people, I mean, I'm not okay, but this is basically what was going to end up happening. But when it comes to him and his child, I think the pointing to the mother, obviously if she got the answers from her mom, she wouldn't be on social media. pointing to him. And clearly, this is his child that he had with someone else. So, of course, if he wants to know his sister through him, then of course he would be the person. But I mean, if you're not answering the phone, if you're not allowing yourself um, to be seen and to be heard, or even to have that connection, because of whatever happened in the past, she's basically a grown woman, whether or not she's in her late teens or possibly maybe she is an adult. Correct? I believe she is. There's no way you can blame the mother in that regard, because that young lady is grown now. So if you want to reach out to your child and build some type of thing, that's your responsibility to do so. In his Instagram message, it was a deflection to even bring the mother up, because the point and the purpose is that you at right now are being exposed. And so if you have all your ducks in a row, can't nobody come out in public and talk about how messed up you are as a father, as a person, or anything, because you're actually doing the work to do things behind the scenes. And so if you're not doing that, of course things like this, if you're not good at home, then home will spill out in your personal life, and that's what we're seeing right now. So I just hope that everybody is really paying attention to who we uplift and who we idolize, because idolatry and putting certain people up on a pedestal is really hurting us and hurting the person, because ultimately no one person can hold up a certain weight of being perfect and being this pinnacle person. So we really need to think about that as a culture. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you so much for contributing. I appreciate your input, and I agree.
Before the next speaker, please in the chat, be respectful or the moderators will remove you from this live. So don't call anybody slow, ignorant, anything like that. Just be respectful of the host hosting this platform and giving you the opportunity to share your opinion and speak. Um, she's been very kind. We want to hear all opinions, but don't be rude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dro. And just a quick thing before I let you go back to you. Number one, I want you guys to know I see you requesting, but when the panel is full, I can't put anyone else in. So I just wanted to let people know that I'm not ignoring them. And also, some people are making comments about, the Democrats and Donald Trump and all this other extraneous stuff. I'm gonna let you know right now, at the end of the day, we are what we do. So yes, those other things are issues, and we do it all here. Okay, I just headed a summit where I was helping Black women and get their minds together and get a plan together for the next 4 years and things like that. So we're doing all of that stuff too. That's just a deflection. We can do more than one thing at one time, and at the end of the day, we are no more than who we are foundationally. And foundationally, we need to get our houses in order, and that includes taking care of our children and facilitating the relationships we have with our children. And so if we are not making sure that is done, then we shouldn't have all this time and energy to be fighting the bigger fights. And if we're going to fight the bigger fights, then we also need to be ready to be accountable to our children specifically about how we drop the ball for them. And that's all I'm going to say about that for right now, unless and until I have to remind people and let new people know that coming. Go ahead, Black and Beyond.
Okay, thanks for having me on your platform. But yeah, I've been following Dr. Umar for like what, at least like 15 years, right? Like if you was on Facebook, like around the conscious community, Dr. Umar have a lot of red flags. Like you could go look it up on YouTube. Like he had a run in on Facebook with this conscious lady. Her name was the conscious stripper. That was the first red flag. And I guess he was messing with her and she exposed them. And then, like he's a penderer. So what he does, he know his fan base. I gotta give him that. It's like he know how to pender. Like when he tell you, oh, like no snow bunny, black queen forever. Like he know what he's doing when he's doing that. He know how to get into his fan base, make sure they put money for him. But it was gonna happen. But I'm sure it's not gonna stop him from. It's not gonna stop his business because his fan base is strong. He's like a pastor to the black community. You understand? I believe that like 2, 3 months from now, he's still gonna go on. And finally, this is the end of the like suspicious. People get to see who is he really is. But at the end of the day, he's still gonna have a fan base. It's just like Derek Jackson. You understand? Like a lot of them are Pender, and they still have fan base. So it's up to us to educate people around us individual, to know like, look, these people that they not for the they not they say good thing for the community. We take the good and we use it for ourselves and around our circle. You get what I'm saying? But we should not take them serious. We should just be like, like he just making money. He say whatever sounds good. He just making money. So there's nothing to it. I don't think he's not gonna stop his money, and he know that. He know that because it's not the first time something happened to Dr. Umar. like it's like when you look, it's like the dating coach. It's the same thing. Like after a while, they get caught and they find a way to get back to their fan base and create another hustle. It's up to you. The internet is powerful. People use it. They use it to influence people, and it's just like MAGA. Like it's just like Trump supporters. Like they don't critic. A lot of people don't have the skill like we do to be able to critical think, and that's a weakness. So like if you could teach somebody how to critical think, teach them, and always question them, make them question themselves instead of just following along. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we got to keep doing to help people, to educate people, to give them something so they could think for themselves instead of looking on the outside for something to help them. Because the same thing he educate himself, we could do the
They a
same.
mama's boy.
We could do the same thing too. So all I could say is thanks for the conversation, and I hope that caused him to have a relationship with his daughter. Something healthy come out of this instead of just hiding. You know what I'm saying? Like he could use it for something positive. So that's when we gonna see his true color. If he's gonna lie, he's gonna be like, you know what, I messed up. I not like like he admit to it instead of him hiding it even more. That's when you're gonna see his true. Because everybody's not perfect. So I hope he take this opportunity and grow from it and build something with his daughter and create a great relationship. And if he does that, it's cool. But if he keep going around and pander to his fan base, then that tells you his character. So, but again, thank you for the platform and keep doing your thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your contribution to the conversation. Right before you go, Rattler, I just need to make another general announcement. So I'm not a shock creator. I'm not going to be arguing and debating. And if I feel like it gets into trolling territory or what you're saying is crazy enough to feel like a troll, I will just go ahead and remove you for the peace of mind from myself and the people in the chat. It is okay to agree to disagree, and we've had some disagreements up here, so far today. But I'm just letting you know I'm not a shock value channel. So please, whatever you want to say, just make sure that you're reading the room and you're saying it in a way that is conversational and respectful. Thank you. Go ahead, Rattler. Okay, going once. And when I say going once, I
How
want to.
y'all doing, beautiful people?
Hello.
Okay, I didn't hardly get no response, so the tension is up already.
I
You
think
been
people
reading
just
my
letting you
comments,
talk.
huh?
I think people just letting you talk because we just let the people come in.
So that's why. Okay, you introduced all the other people, but you put a disclaimer before I came up, right?
Yes, but that's because I saw what.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I saw what you said about Megan. There were also some other people, like the guy that popped up real quick and said something nasty. So that wasn't just
No,
for you.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that wasn't just for you, but yes, because I saw your MAGA comment, I did want to make sure because some people do like to come up, and that is the culture of YouTube, I mean, of TikTok, that people think people like to argue. And I was just making it clear that we're just having a civil conversation. That's all. It,
Okay, just by me being connected to MAGA, is that a bad image?
it's not, it doesn't have to be. I
That's
understand.
not stereotyping, is it?
It might be stereotyping, but again,
Oh,
I look at
wow.
being accountable for myself and just letting people know where I'm coming from,
So
and then let.
let me put my stopwatch on. Let me try how long I can last up there.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I was going around all these labs. This might be off topic. Well, let me stick to topic. Hello?
I got him. Somebody wasn't on mute. I muted him. Go ahead.
Okay. So y'all talking about Dr. Umar Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he said some things about the Vice President Harris, President Biden. He also said things about President Trump. So he an equal opportunist, right?
Mm-hmm.
He don't discriminate. And I hear y'all talk about because he really emphasized about the snow bunnies. Can I say that, or
I think you can
that's
say.
not permitted?
I think you can say snow bunnies on.
Oh, okay. And so basically, what y'all saying is hypocrisy here, right?
Yeah.
Because he claimed to be like a moral giant as far as living his life, right? So I'm assuming that this supposed to be his daughter or something. I can't see the small print.
Yes. So let me give you a background on what's going on. His daughter, that is a screenshot of a video his daughter made where she was saying that she was trying to get in contact with him because she has a sister that's not by her mother, and she wanted to get in contact with this sister. He is the common denominator betwixt the two women and their mothers, or girls, because I think the other one is like 15, and he would not get back to her. And so she took to the internet because she figured that that would get his attention and spur him to action, or at the very least, somebody else could connect her to her sister.
So he the one that championed black fatherhood, right?
He he
So
championed black.
this does not
He
look good for him, right?
Yes, it's hypocritical because he does champion patriarchy. He does champion,
Oh.
being the head of household, and women and children need to look to men for leadership. Yes.
Okay, so how much weight do y'all put on him criticizing our beautiful Vice President Harris during the election and even President Biden? Because I don't know if he's a Democrat. I know he's not a Republican. He comes out and say that. I don't know if he's independent. So does that play a role in the way y'all look at him?
Well, not me specifically. I'll let you know my exact opinion on Dr. Umar. I have not taken him seriously since very soon after I saw him, mainly because to what one of the last people speaking were saying, I clocked his kind of salesman type energy beforehand. And then as I continued to see him in passing, the things that he was doing and the stuff he was saying he wanted to do, and me kind of keeping short tabs on what was going on. Like, for instance, him always talking about donations, donations, gifts, gifts for years, and trying to build this school. Meanwhile, other people's schools have been built many times over and expanded and everything else in the same amount of time. And yet he was getting a lot of money from people. I would see people donating the money. Sometimes I would see him doing this while sitting in a what's that called? A casino. And
What?
you just always see him talking, but nothing was getting done. So I said, okay, I don't think this is on the up and up. And I've also seen him himself talking about not being in contact with his children and basically making excuses for why he was not in contact with his children, scapegoating the mothers, scapegoating the children, so I personally did not take him seriously, but I did laugh at the news.
So he had several baby mamas then.
He has at least two that I know of.
Oh, wow. So what about, because he also is a big critic of the LGBTQ
Yes.
community,
Yes.
because he called that the new birth control. Are you familiar with the statements? Oh, I
I'm
can't say that.
familiar with any jargon he uses, but I know that he is not a fan of LGBTQ, and he does scapegoat LGBTQ for the breakdown of the black family. Again, while we're watching him break down his own black family, or not, at least be passive and not build
Oh,
a family.
okay. So I see why y'all getting on him and criticizing him, and because like I say, he's an equal opportunist as far as calling, balls and strikes. Because I heard a dialogue with him just talking about President Trump, who I support. I mean, he went off,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard anything recently, so I know he has a lot to say. So that's basically what I had to say. But one more thing, because I've been asking on different lives, why aren't they pushing? I don't know if it's controversial. Trans men to compete against biological men. I just hear the reverse about trans women competing. Well, not trans women, but the opposite. They're not
I
saying the
think I
opposite.
understand what you're asking, and that is an astute observation. I don't know, but that's not really
But
the.
I'm saying, do you think that's fair, or y'all not touching that?
I'm not really fully. I think you're saying, why are they making an issue of trans women?
Okay, trans women competing against biological girls or women.
Right.
So is that fair? Because that's what President Trump just signed an executive order. I don't have any daughters, so I hear a lot of men speaking out against that. They're taking scholarships. But some people say, oh, that's just 1%. And that's just like 30 people trying to do that.
Respectfully, I can't really. It's not fair to the other people who are here to have a conversation we're having to try to get.
Okay, well, I'm all over the place. I
Yeah,
am a
it's not that
retired
I'm
teacher,
trying to
so
cut you down, but I really can't have that
yeah.
conversation with you right now.
Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for letting me speak my piece. Well,
That's
whatever you call it.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless you in this beautiful panel and keep doing you.
Thank you. You too, sir.
We need young people. I'm 74, so we need more young people to
I love
speak
when I
up.
see the older people on TikTok. I love it.
Huh?
I said I love when I see the older people on TikTok.
Oh, I'm all over the place. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp.
That's good. Oh, God bless you.
Yeah. Because I play chess. I don't play checkers.
Period.
Yeah. In fact, I taught chess
Oh,
in
that.
school.
Well, thank you so much for coming up, sir. I'm going to move on to Ashley now, okay?
Okay. Okay. God bless you. I'm going to just listen.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, you want me to drop?
You
I
can.
could still listen.
Yeah,
That
you
way
can
you could
go
get
ahead.
more people up on the panel.
I'm going to just go ahead and mute you. Okay. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hey y'all. Hey. I think it's very, very dangerous that we call Dr. Umar a leader in the Black community because he's not leading anything. When I look at the different people in history that we have called leaders, they're speaking out, which he's doing, but they're also creating change. They're creating programs in communities. They're making the community that they say that they're a part of better. And the people are calling those individuals leaders. They're not calling themselves leaders. And I think that it's just very telling about the way he lives his life and how his life comes out and how I feel like unkind and disrespectful he is to Black women in order for him to like get a rise out of people. He says a lot of things that are very controversial and he tries to keep his name kind of out there, like with the things that he says, but I don't see him as a leader. Someone in the chat said that 80% of what he says is, true, but there has to be a little bit of truth in the lies that you're spewing or nobody's going to believe anything. No one's going to follow you. So do I think that it's appropriate that she went to social media? Yes, because her father is a public figure. And he has decided that this is how he wants to live his life. So his life gets to be out there. But a lot of men make these kinds of decisions all the time, that they have these children, they don't want to interact with them. I think the difference is that he's calling himself a leader and he's the loudest out here versus actual leaders of the past were doing things and someone said, wow, I like what you're going to do. I'm going to follow you because I want to create change as well. So that's kind of where I am with this whole thing.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. And that's the main thing. It's like if you're going to tout yourself as a leader or a thought leader, then you are going to be scrutinized. And it's only right. Like power should never go unchecked. And he has influence. He has massive influence. I was watching a YouTube video about, it was about hoteps, so like the history of hoteps and such. But they had a point where they were talking about Dr. Umar, and they were saying like he is impactful. Nobody can sit and try to say he's not impactful. He has a far reach.
Yeah. I mean, but so does Candace Owens. Like, let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like, when you have a platform and you have people that are willing to listen, they're going to pick up on some things that you say that resonate with them. Right? It doesn't make you a horrible person for necessarily sharing not horrible things that you're saying, right? Like that, but just because you're sharing it doesn't mean that you're a leader. And a gentleman in the chat said, well, who do I think are the leaders in the Black community right now? I honestly don't think that we have any leaders in the Black community right now because we don't have people that are creating in the space, that are speaking out in ways like, if I were to say anybody, I would say Beyonce. But not because of her performances. I would say because of the things that she does behind the scenes. And then you see it later and people are like, oh, wow, she has this foundation or she's giving scholarships or they're doing these different things. I think that's how they're leading in this community. Oprah Winfrey is doing something similar where she's not necessarily touting herself. She's doing whatever work she's doing and people are following her because they like what she's doing because she's creating change. Now, is she necessarily creating a lot of change in the Black community? Maybe not, right? But those are the people that are doing something and individuals are saying, I'm going to follow you versus you saying, I am your leader and I'm going to give you a little bit of truth and a whole lot of toxic and you should just follow me because you should follow me 100%. And I don't think that that's the case with anything. Like even when I look at Dr. King's life, there's a lot that he says that I'm like, absolutely 100,000% yes. And then I look at his life and I'm like, absolutely not. Does that make sense? Like, do you guys know what I'm saying? Like, and even when you look at, because I thought it was just very interesting for MLK Day, you go on social media and see the things that are being posted to honor him. And there's a lot of people in his family that were honoring his wife on MLK Day, right? And I'm just like, no one is perfect. Like no one is perfect. So you can't just look at somebody's life and say, I'm going to follow them, right? With everything that they're doing. I think that we have to have wisdom and we have to have discernment. But the issue is that Dr. Umar is the loudest and we give him a lot just because he's loud, right? Like I can't even take some of his rhetoric sometimes because I'll be listening and I'll be like, dang, did you just disrespect this woman for no reason? Right. Not even that it's for no reason. Why are you disrespecting Black women? Let's start there. Right. Like, let's just leave that right there. So do I think that it's okay for his Black female child, his Black woman to go on there and say, yo, he's not standing up. That's for us to be like, yo, he's definitely not a leader in this community. You're out. You're out. I think that's appropriate.
Okay, I appreciate your perspective on that. I definitely like the idea of scrutinizing people, like I said, that tout themselves as leaders and mouthpieces for us as a community. They become, whether we buy into it or not, they
Mm-hmm.
become an example for outsiders of who we are and what our values are. So it's definitely important for us to hold them to account. I appreciate your input, Elsie. Thank you so much for coming up. And you don't have to jump down. You don't have to jump down. I'm going to go ahead and let Mo talk, and then it will be Halima, and then it will be user 7859, etc. Go ahead, Mo. Mo, you good? Okay, well, we seem to have lost Halima. 7859. Mo hasn't talking. Mo, you don't have to get down. But I'm gonna put you on mute until you get back and let me know. Mo, you there?
Maybe Mo doesn't know she's
She
up.
might not. Mo, I'm gonna put you on mute. Now, when I put her on mute, she keep coming off of mute. I don't know how that's happening. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to are you ready, Mo? All right. I'm gonna just disconnect because I don't know what's going on the with that. You could come up, Mo, again and when you're ready to talk, but I just don't know what's going on when I'm trying to mute that. User 7859, go ahead. Okay, you're also not talking. So I'm just going to respond to some comments I'm seeing. Northern Northern Sweet Tea is saying we don't have leaders, but we scrutinize the ones who try to lead. Are leaders above scrutiny? They should be the main ones scrutinized. If they're going to be the ones, like I said, being out ahead of us and being the representative of who we are, what we're supposed to be, what we want, speaking for us in spaces where we cannot speak, we need to scrutinize them. We need to know exactly who this person is, what they are about, and if they align with what it is we actually want and envision. That's what democracy is supposed to be. That's also what leadership is. Like, you
Yes.
have to be held to account. You have to be held to account. That's why we have so much stuff going on. We got 34 count felon in the White House with his Legion of Doom doing whatever the heck they want to do, just tearing everything apart. Okay, and we got a bunch of people who were just like, oh yeah, he said this one thing that I kind of like for my own reasons, and now that everything's going to pot, they're going, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. When the people like us were saying, hey, this is what they said they're going to do, and they wrote it down in a book, and they have it here, and whatever. So now when all that stuff that they wrote down and distributed is happening, everybody's like, what's going on? So that's why it's important. That is discernment. A lot of the same people that are getting upset that we are scrutinizing this person that has put themselves in a position of power and influence over us and on our behalf are the same ones that when a woman comes and complains about their baby father or whatever, says, oh, well, where was your discernment? That's literally discernment.
Yes.
Scrutinizing people is literally discernment.
I
Literally.
agree with what you're saying. I don't know if I'm interrupting. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Luther.
No, I agree with some of what you're saying. Listen, I'm in the black community too. My only thing is, I just I agree with the personal accounts that we have and the things that we have in common as a people, but we also have trauma in common as a people too. And I fear that black folks, like we just trauma bond with each other. We don't talk about the future. We don't even really respect as a people. We don't really respect the present. All we do is remind each other about what they did to us. Like, at what point are we going to look in the mirror as a community and hold ourselves accountable the same way we hold Dr. Umar? Because just because he's on TV and he's making himself a figure of the community or a celebrity, quote unquote, doesn't mean that the football coach at your kid's school is not the same power and influence. doesn't mean that you don't hold him accountable when you see him in the bar taking a break. And you know what I mean? Like, we got to hold ourselves accountable. We got to hold the leaders in our community accountable. We have to hold like, everybody needs to be held accountable, but Black people don't want to hold themselves accountable, unfortunately. Because at the end of the day, there's so much more that we really need to be talking about, except for like what's happening with this little girl is unfortunate. And I don't wish that on anybody. I understand what one of the other ladies was saying, that if she felt like this was the only way that she can reach her father and that's what she chose to do, then kudos to her. Her moral caliber allowed her to do that. Dr. Umar's moral character, or however way y'all want to word it, he don't talk about his personal things when he's having lectures. He don't talk about all these other things. He makes himself a public servant. So of course he's going to be scrutinized. Of course these things are going to happen. But these things also happen to Malcolm. They also happen to Martin. They also happen to Left Eye. They also happen to Megan. Like, I don't understand the selective outrage of the Black community. I really don't, respectfully. Like, I really just don't understand how, I just don't understand Black people.
I gotta respectfully disagree with you though. Like
Okay.
when you're a
One second,
person
Ashley.
who,
Hold on one
oh
second.
sorry.
Like a minute ago or so, I saw Alicia had requested in the chat to say something. Go ahead, Alicia.
Sorry, thank you. I'm sorry, and then I'll get down after this, but I had a few just things I wanted to say because people were saying a lot of great things, but I wanted to somebody said that we're disparaging Dr. Umar in the comment section, and like the definition of disparage is to regard or represent as being of little worth, right? And we're talking about a man who didn't take care of his child. And I imagine that like that is disparaging to her. You know what I mean? Like and I think it's really also dangerous that we keep centering Dr. Umar in this conversation. He's not the victim here. He is the villain. He hurt his daughter. He did not take care of his child. And so instead of running defense for him, I would love if we could actually center the person who has been harmed, who has been neglected for all these years, right? And so like it really scares me because it really makes me see that Black women and Black girls don't have value within the Black community, especially when their fathers are regarded as leaders by random people on the internet. Like, it doesn't matter what he does at home. It doesn't matter because neglect is abuse. Like, let me be clear, neglect is abuse, right? So he's abusing his children and we're regarding him as a leader to follow. That scares me. And when we're
Not
talking
only that,
about,
Alicia, I just want to jump in real quick. Not
please,
only are we doing that, but we're touting what he has chosen to do with his time instead of being a parent.
Yes.
Use that to justify and negate the child's experience.
Yes. And we're allowing him to criticize our personal lives and the decisions that we make. So absolutely he should.
If I could just clear things up, I'm not trying to justify
no,
anything that this
this
man
is
is
not
doing.
this is not necessarily geared towards you. These are just thoughts that I've been having for the past, few minutes. It's not necessarily towards you. It's just like
No, okay, but I see it in the comments too. I'm not trying to defend this man. So it's
okay,
not just you. Yeah, yeah, it's not just you. I'm looking at the comments. I'm not trying to defend Dr. Umar. I don't know that man. What
right, but
I do know is I listen to him and I research what he says, and it's 98, maybe even 80 to be fair, percent true.
but okay,
If I don't know.
but to what
I'm
you're
listening.
saying though, even though your intention is not to basically defend Dr. Umar, you are like, even if that's not your intention, like how it's landing is that you are standing in front of this man saying, no, don't talk down on this man. He does good for the community. Everybody does bad. No one's perfect, right? But
No.
we don't get to do that because that's not our father. That's not our story. We don't get to tell another Black girl or Black woman how she gets to vent about her neglectful father.
And you can't tell a black man how he's gonna vent either.
Okay.
You
If
can't
she
tell a
has,
black man how he's supposed to
hold on,
vent either. Like, that
Northern.
doesn't make sense.
Northern, I'm not finished. I'm sorry.
I apologize.
She's the victim here. He's not the
Mhm.
he's not the victim. He has done harm to someone. Like,
Mhm.
right? So she is centered. She should be
Mhm.
centered. Like his
Mhm.
whether he like how he feels about the situation, he should be embarrassed. It's embarrassing. He should feel away. But instead of funneling his energy towards loving his daughter, he's running defense for himself and dragging his daughter in the process. He's
Well,
not
I'm gonna,
defending her.
can
He's
I
not
jump in
saying.
here? Because even, and this is not to, you can go back to talk about it. I just want to kind of steer the ship a little bit. When everything's said and done, we cannot control that man. And whatever we say, he's already made it clear is not changing what he says or anything like that. But when we're talking, because a lot of people are making comments about, oh, well, what can we do when we need to monitor our own lives and this and that and the other? And that's correct. And like I said, if you want to go back into my platform and see what my platform is about and the work I'm trying to do over here, you can. But in a general sense, right here in this moment, we are
Mhm.
doing work of making it clear and having these conversations. And hopefully one day we can get on code about
Mhm.
what it is we want as a community from our leaders,
Yes.
from the
Yes.
participants, from everything that's going on. This is important to be clear about who and what do we want to be the tenets of what people see when they see us. It's
Yes.
not
Yes.
this. For me, it's not this. And so
Mhm.
this is important to talk about this aspect of his character and everything, because like I said,
Mhm.
it wasn't just this thing. It's like, oh yeah, he's so bad because of this. I've been watching him for a long time, and I already kind of wrote him off in terms of taking him seriously as a leader, because I see if
Mhm.
you, the amount of exposure he has, the amount of influence he has, the amount of money he's been given, and we still don't have anything to show for it, says a lot. It says a lot in and of itself. And now I'm seeing, even though, like I said, he already has said it before, but now the child is speaking, so we're getting corroboration of stuff he's already said out of his own mouth. That lets me know that you ain't it. You ain't it. So now I feel confident to say that
Mhm.
you're kind of a detriment in the position you are in, because you're
Mhm.
making, not only are you not really doing the things that you say you want to do, the vision is beautiful. I get why people buy in, because the vision is beautiful, but you're not really, I don't feel like he's really walking the talk. And this is a testament to that. So that's important.
No,
And
I definitely agree, and I agree. With the whole situation and the conversation is extremely important, and I appreciate you allowing me even the platform to have the conversation. So thank you for that. But keep seeing that I'm defending him, and I'm really not defending him. I really just want to say this, and I'm gonna drop down and let everyone finish. But what I'm saying is, Dr. Umar is what our community looks like. So where is the outrage for it? Like, we are predominantly the mothers run the household. Single mothers is pretty much the standard of what it is right now, unfortunately, in our community. The fathers had the same argument Dr. Umar has. The mothers had the same argument that the mothers had, and the kids had the same argument that the kids had. All this is a display of our community. So where's the outrage in the community? Where's the other leaders if y'all want to take him down? Who's there to replace him?
I'm gonna
And
be
he don't gotta
So
be perfect,
I'm gonna
but
be
at
honest.
least allow the man to do something. We don't have nobody
But the
that
challenge is
that y'all consider
he's
leaders.
doing nothing. That's the challenge. He's not doing anything. We're saying
How is he
leaders
not
of
doing anything?
he's
Everybody
literally
she's saying she's
doing nothing.
defending him. She's not defending him. She's saying he's all we got.
But
No,
see,
I'm
that's
not
what I
saying that either. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is everybody's a leader. Everybody got the same blood running through their veins, is what I'm saying. Dr. Umar is Tyrone, is Jamal, is Pookie, is whoever it is. All it is a man in front of a camera. That's what I'm saying. I'm not defending that man. And even if I was defending him, it is what it is. My thing is, where's the outrage in the community?
But can I?
That's all I'm saying.
there is outrage, and
I
there's a
can't
time and a
see it.
there. So let me finish. Let me walk down this path for a moment. There is outrage in the community. It just so happens that on this particular live that Level Up is hosting for all of us and giving us the space and the privilege to speak on her platform happens to be about one of the many influencers or public speakers or however anyone would like to label him is behaving and governing himself in a public atmosphere on his own platform and towards one of his children. As it relates to outrage for the entire community, there has always been an outrage. This has been a long-standing conversation, even post-Reconstruction, about fatherlessness and its impact on the Black family and the Black household. It just so happens that today at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the year of our Lord 2025, we're talking about this specific situation with Umar. You are correct in that is Tyrone and Jamal and so on and so forth story. We still have to continue to have these conversations though, because if we're going to allow and platform people like Dr. Umar, we do need to be able to have honest and transparent conversations about his words and his behavior not aligning. It's no different than whether we were talking about Michael Jordan and maybe some of his infidelities in his marriage, or Steve Harvey and the fact that he is now on his third wife who used to be his mistress, or any other Black man in the community who is saying one thing and governing himself in the opposite direction. So the outrage is there. It just so happens that we are having a level of specificity around Dr. Umar's specific situation where he made the choice to govern himself in a way that was not becoming of a father, whether he's Black or not, is not becoming of a leader, whether he's Black or not, is not becoming of a public figure who peddles Black familyhood and Black on Black marriage, and making sure that we are not seeking any type of assistance or accomplish or allyship with other communities. You are just as familiar with his platform as many of us are. I've been following Dr. Umar since way before he even started going on the Breakfast Club and talking about the fact that he was a father of two and did not have a relationship with either of the mothers. So in with all that being said, this is one small piece of a greater conversation. And because of the fact that Level Up Single Mom does have the platform that she has as a single mother in a Black community, this is also an opportunity for other single Black mothers or potential single Black mothers or women who are currently pregnant to have an open and honest conversation about some of their experiences with the men in our community so that we can hold them accountable, not only individually, but collectively, and also hold ourselves accountable for some of the decision making that we have made. Because let's keep it a hundo shmundo. Many people who would find themselves to be legitimate or long-term or quote unquote devout followers of Dr. Umar also unfortunately participate in lack of emotional maturity and digital literacy as well. They are not actually always going on deep dives about his career and his therapeutic practices and how many degrees he has and all of the different speaking sessions that he has at universities, which are paid speaking sessions. He's not doing this stuff for free. But I also would like to bring to everybody's attention that Dr. Umar, being an educator, but not actually being in higher academia, just being a paid public speaker, is something to keep an eye on. So to Ashley's point earlier, it is really not incumbent upon us, and having this conversation helps us get to this point. It's not a good thing for us to be platforming him and to also be putting him as a leader in our community because of the fact that he is not governing himself according to his own philosophies and his own rhetoric. So I just want to throw that out there. You're not incorrect. No one is disagreeing with you that we do need to have a wider conversation. This just so happens to be a specific conversation within the context of a bigger conversation that we've been having since the post-Reconstruction era. Once all of our ancestors got off of the plantation, and a lot of Black men ran screaming and have not come back to us since then. And it is
Oh
also
wow.
evident in a lot of their philosophy and their behavior.
Yes, ma'am. And I would dare
See,
say
I
we
don't.
do have leaders. We have women in our community that are leaders. There are 92% of women in this United States that decided, we're going to support Kamala. And now we're going to be quiet and let things happen. Those are our leaders. There's nothing wrong with a woman being a leader. There's nothing wrong with leading and not being the loudest in the room. We do have leaders, and I think that it's important for us to champion the people around us that are saying, I'm going to step up. Yeah, there's no father here, but my kids ain't going without. Yeah, I made this mistake by having this child with this one man, but I didn't do it again. Like there's no problem in doing that. But the challenge is that Dr. Umar has made himself a moral god in some ways. And then
Wow.
we look at the decisions that he's making, we look at his morals and we say they're subpar. They're not representative of what we want. And there's nothing wrong with that either.
I understand what you're saying, right? I don't disagree with what anyone is saying. But to be honest, if I consider myself a leader, I'm a leader. I don't really, I wouldn't particularly care what the community thought about it. So if he labels himself a leader, then he's a leader. But my question is, where is the outrage? Like, the leaders of our community are musicians. They are rappers. It is drill music. It is all kind of things that do not benefit our community. Where is the
And I
outrage?
would
But
dare to
to
say,
your
why
point
is he called
It's
earlier,
a
just, it's
leader?
just like,
but
it's
to your
just a
point
bunch.
earlier, it's a
Yes, ma'am.
parenting issue. To your point earlier,
Yes,
Northern, it's a parenting issue. And to
yes,
your
ma'am.
point that you stated earlier about you don't allow your children to engage with certain media, certain music, et cetera, et cetera. The same thing applies to Dr. Umar. So talking about his situation also and bringing up factual things that he has put out here as well as his daughter allows people to reconsider, do I want Dr. Umar to be a leader in my thought space, in my head, in my brain, in my spirit, if I know that he is not governing himself along the philosophies? The same thing applies to all these celebrities and singers and musicians and athletes and so on and so forth. If I see music or see them participating in political agendas that I do not agree with or do not align with, am I going to allow them to occupy space in my brain? Am I going to allow my children? Am I going to bring their TikToks or their IG reels or their music or their books, et cetera, into my space or around my friends or around my community? And so, like I said earlier, this just happens to be a conversation with specificity around Dr. Umar, but it speaks to a greater issue, to your point earlier, of who are you allowing to lead you? Who are you platforming in your life? Who are you platforming in your spirit, in your mind, in your body, in your day-to-day life? Who are you listening to? What are they saying to you? Are you fact checking these people? And this just happens to be a space where we're fact checking some behavior that Dr. Umar participated in that is directly opposite of what he has stated in his own philosophy. And I see sports stuff says she wanted to speak, so I'm gonna mute up.
Hi, everyone. This is a really great conversation, so I appreciate you for having me on. Now, I have a couple of thoughts, so I'll try to present them succinctly here. I was getting ready to say exactly what extra, I think it's extra crispy, I'm not even sure, but extra crisp, which is what I see, was saying, which is like, Dr. Umar might be a leader. He's not my leader. He does lead certain people. And I think we have to be very clear about that distinction. He's not a leader in the Black community by and large. I don't know many people in my own life, and I live in New York, that say he is their leader. The people that gravitate towards Dr. Umar are Black men. We have to be clear and honest about that. Black men have gravitated towards Dr. Umar because he has the same issues. Well, they have the same issues he has. And so they cling on to what he says as somebody that can speak well, to say, look, even this guy who's well educated and can speak well is saying the same thing I'm saying. He's just saying it more eloquently. And that's problematic because I think we as a Black community have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And I think, Northern, you were trying to get at this, but the problem is that Dr. Umar is not a leader in the absence of other leaders. There's absolutely so many people that are doing really great things. And the amount of noise he was making during the election and the reason why there was a slip in the number of Black men that supported Kamala, because I'm gonna be honest, you do not have to like Kamala, you didn't have to love her. She was not your mother, your grandmother, or nothing. But you did have to understand that we wouldn't be here in this current predicament trying to deal with our grandparents, our parents, and anybody over 65 wondering whether or not they're going to get paid, with all the people that lost their support services over the last 2 months. You know, the moment where, I guess, Dogi, whatever, all of that, all of the things that have happened, people losing their um, jobs in the droves, right? Black women posting on this app about how they're sending back their laptops because they done lost their jobs. We all know, in our lives know a federal worker, right? And you have to ask yourself, like, is it all worth it, right? We have to make sacrifices, and is putting our power, because we're the people with the power, behind people like this worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Um, as a criminal defense attorney, because I did that for many years, I'm not judging anybody, right? Like, you do what you want on your own time. Heck, I'll represent you. I'll make sure that, you know, you're getting what's what you're entitled to as far as the Constitution tells you. But as far as propping people up, and quote unquote putting them in power for other communities to see as a model. I think we have to be very careful with that. And we also have to be mindful that we should not be a community with one leader. I think we should have a space to say, like, listen, there are more than one of you. If one of you guys is not up to muster, like, you are not going to be the people who the people follow. The last thing I want to say is that there's a bunch of organizations that we should be tapping into that were created during the civil rights movement, and that we absolutely need to get back into following and listening to. There's the CBC, there's Urban League, people that are literally filing the lawsuits right now that are holding the line. Because if you guys don't know, it is absolutely the legal field, the lawyers and the judges that are holding the line on the worst things that could potentially happen in this administration. So I know some of you are into the cultural concerns that Republicans present, you know, and I'm not even going to go there, but we have to understand that it's a very slippery slope. The legal ground that we stand on in order to have access to all the things we have when we were not originally indicated within the Constitution is very thin, and this democracy is very thinly veiled. And if we lose just a sliver, we can lose it all, right? So if you're saying you don't like somebody else to have rights, the same argument that got them their rights got you yours. So what reason do you have to really stay there and say that, to stand there and say that? So we have to be very mindful of the fact that while we're having this conversation, and we did have a lot of these conversations during the election about the Black community and what a Black family looks like, and specifically it was surrounding the fact that Kamala isn't Black because she's not married to a Black person. We have to start asking ourselves larger questions about what we are going to consider quote unquote Black or not, and why we're doing that when our ancestors fought for all of us, right? My family comes from the Caribbean. I was told to my face that I'm not Black. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, are you for real? And so it's just, it's a lot of dicey, nuanced conversation that people like to say just blanket statements about and are disregarding the nuance necessary to handle. So
As it pertains to being called Black, I think
Hold on
that.
1 second, Ashley. Alicia's been trying to say her last comment, so I'm going to let Alicia say her last comments. But real quickly, I want to say one thing. Short stuff. I love where you're going with this. Please stay, cognizant of the channel because at some point we're going to talk about it. I was just talking to my cousin last night about where we actually are as a country because she was saying like people aren't concerned enough for her, people aren't doing enough for her, like in general. She's talking about like regular people, and I'm saying yeah, because we're in make sure you got your bag with some money and maybe a gun and something in the corner just in case you need to run. Like that's where we are as far as I'm concerned with what's going on. So I want to applaud you and thank you for your work and your colleagues' work because I for one know exactly what you're talking about and I agree. But go ahead, Alicia.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm sorry, Ashley, excuse me. But I real quick and I'm gonna head out. But what I was saying earlier about like her being disparaged, like the daughter should be centered, her pain should be centered. And we have to stop saying that like no one is perfect because that just lowers our bar on like what we accept. I also want to say that this is the outrage. When we're talking about where is the outrage for the community, the music, it starts here. Like this is a microcosm of the outrage. Because like understand we are upset about Dr. Umar, but we're also upset about the music. We're also upset about politics and all this other stuff. But like Extra Crispy was talking about earlier, like this is just what we're talking about right now. And so I don't like the fact that when Black men's feet are held to the fire, we always feel the need to come in and save them. We're like he made his own mess. He made his own mess and he's dealing with the consequences of his actions. This is what happens when you don't care for people as you're supposed to care for them, right? And I think that I wish that our community, instead of saying, oh, well, why did she wait so long? And I'm repeating what someone said earlier. Why did she wait so long to come and seek and chase after her father? Why we would not say, why did it take so long for him? Like, why is he so unavailable? Why did it take so long? You know what I mean? Like, we always focus on the victim. and we put the responsibility of everything on the victim. She's a child. Her, like, there is no timeline. There is no limit. I don't care if she's 100 and something years old and he's still alive. She still has the right to go to her father, which is her family, by the way, and demand what is due her. She's allowed to do that.
I agree with you. I
No,
don't
no,
know where it's coming
I'm
from that
not.
I'm
Again,
supporting him.
I'm
I
not.
agree.
Again,
No,
I'm not talking to
she
you.
wasn't talking to you specifically. She's just making final statements, and then she's gonna
Yeah,
drop it.
somebody earlier said that it wasn't you. Like, she's not here no more. But the person basically said, like, I don't understand why did it take so long. It's like, it doesn't really matter. That's it doesn't matter. We're just looking for reasons to allow this man to get off for his bad behavior. Like, that's it, you know.
It really
No,
comes off as being an
I had a quick
disagree.
question,
Wait.
hold it.
if I
It's
may
hold it
interject.
now. Alicia's finishing up her comments,
I
and then you can
disagree.
go after Alicia's finished out. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. And real quick, I'll wrap it up. I think that we should not be so worried about how things looks versus the harm that he's doing. Like, we're worried about, like, oh, he's a leader and this makes him look bad. We're worried about protecting his image more than we're worried about protecting her heart. Like, if he can't manage his own children, what makes us think that he can manage a school? It doesn't make sense. Like, he can't manage his own sperm. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, he can't manage his own self. And so we're looking to a man to lead this, his community where it is, and it's like he can't even lead himself. Okay, so then going down, pandering. Someone mentioned pandering earlier, and it really bothers me that being kind to women equals pandering now. Like, any man that is kind to women, or that is gentle, or is thoughtful, or makes space for women, he's automatically labeled as a panderer. And so people are looking, even Black men are looking at Dr. Umar, celebrating this happening, not because it's incorrect or it's unrighteous. They're not celebrating that we're getting him together because he's done unrighteous things. No, they're celebrating him because, yes, another Black man that celebrated Black women, using air quotes, celebrated Black women, celebrated Black women, is falling. I think that's problematic. I think that really speaks to the hatred that this community has towards Black women. Because even if you want to call Black women desperate, there's a reason why Black women are desperate. It's because Black men who are doing the right thing are so hard to find. And so it's very easy to fall for someone who pretends to be what women are looking for, someone who studies women, who's around women, and pretends to be what women want. And so obviously, yes, like, people are going to fawn after him because he's what we desire. But I think that really reflects on Black men. Like, why is it so easy to take advantage of women in your community? Why is it so easy to pretend? You said, like, because the bar is low. Okay. Next thing, yes, okay. Women. Okay, earlier someone said, like, oh, we need more
I'm
leaders.
jumping around a lot. I'm gonna
We
just
need more.
exit.
Okay, we need more leaders because women are leading the household.
Mute yourself, Alish Smile, please. Thank you.
He said he was.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. We say we need more leaders because women are leading the household. Women are the leaders. Women are leading. And I think that it's problematic that we don't see women as leaders because that's what women are already doing, right? And instead of focusing on the people who are actually doing the work, leading, giving them resources, giving them help, we're running after men, begging them to do what they don't want to do. I think that is problematic. We need to center women. I think we were talking about earlier the matriarchy. I think that's what's missing, is centering women. Women know what to do. Women know who needs help. People come to women, Black women specifically, seeking shelter. Why is no one listening to us? But they're coming after us to seek our shelter, but they don't want to listen to our wisdom. That doesn't make any sense. If we hold the secrets of all the wounded people, why would you not listen to us for the medicine? That doesn't make any sense. We are the leaders. So anyway, enough of this, like, no one's perfect stuff. Enough of it. Either if you're a leader, then you can be held accountable for your actions. Period. And if you cannot, you are not a leader. I think that's all I really wanted to say. I'm just tired of people making excuses for bad people. I am grieved for this daughter. I'm grieved that all the conversations are being had about Dr. Umar. I'm grieved that, because I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to pine after your father. I know what it feels like. And if I cry, it's okay. I'm emotional. I know what that feels like. And I know what it feels like to have to go on social media. I know how embarrassing that is to have to go on social media to get your father's attention. And instead of focusing on how embarrassing and heartbreaking and disgusting that is, we're focusing on her timing. We're focusing on her, how it looks. Who cares about how it looks? How do you think it feels? How do you think it feels for her? Who cares what you think about how she's approaching the situation? That's not your father. That's not your situation. Mind your business. And the business should be Black women. Black women will always be my business.
Period.
That's all I wanted to say.
Very well
Period,
said.
Alicia. Thank you so
Drop,
much,
sis. Mic
girl.
drop.
Thank you for sharing your heart, Alicia. And I'm gonna let y'all know I don't play about her. So just keep that in mind. It was Kim. Kim came up first. Then it'll be Civilized and then Imani. And if you're going, Alicia, I want you to know I love you and thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Well, my biggest thing and why I wanted to come up is I was a big supporter of Omar until this happened. And to go back and to watch and do researches on even women that knew of him, chilled with him up until that day, which he had mentioned that he did. He had 2 daughters and he did not take care of them. Now, here's how this all started. It started for her wanting to find her 13-year-old sister. Everybody's forgetting that. So I'm reaching out, and I'm not getting any response. I am angry. I am going to go to social media because, again, I'm a child. Everybody been there. I've been there. When I went back and forth with my birth father, who also is my rapist, but wanted a relationship with me after I got an adult to try to remend and basically forgive all the shit he did to me. No. So yes, I lashed out on Facebook a lot. The world knew that I even created a group that was warning. I put pedophile and rapists on blast and called him out on it.
Just Kim, I'm
The
sorry to interrupt you, but when you say the R word, can you say
Yes,
great
I'm sorry.
TikTok
Say
friendly language?
great
Thank
and
you.
watch
Yes,
the
I
P word
do. I
as well.
apologize for
Thank
that. But the whole fact is that she is hurt. She wanted to find her sister because she wanted a piece of her. She couldn't get it from her father. She wanted a piece of her in her life. And that was her sister. She kept reaching out to him. He kept on ignoring her. So what else can I do? Right now, social media is the biggest platform to get everything known and to find somebody. When that happened, she found her sister. Before that, she couldn't find her. This is about the children. Everybody want to him here, and for somebody who speaks on legacy of black people, and then he gonna call her a Smurf instead of a queen, like he always called black women, was totally disrespectful to a child, to both his daughters. So then it's like, okay, you're a fraud. Everything you've taught and I have learned from you and developed mentally is destroyed. It's like broken. It's heartbreaking because you're a liar. And that's all I gotta say. It's about the children. The whole thing was that she wanted a piece of her father, which is her sister, because everybody knows that I don't care. There's people in the world that never even meet their siblings and then have that sense of void and then find their siblings and it's fulfilled. It's about the children. Her feelings are validated. And the world is going crazy, and I see the comments and how people are disrespecting her about her feelings of being abandoned. We have all been abandoned before by men, women, our children if they grow older. Like, that's all I have to say. I don't like.
Thank you
It's
so
crazy.
much, Kim. Thank you so much. No, that was powerful. I appreciate you coming up and sharing it. And welcome. Welcome to the platform. um Next we have Civilized and then Imani.
Civilized, you can go ahead and come on mute. Are you still with us, Civilized?
Okay, we'll skip over to Imani. If or when you get back, Civilized, I'm not gonna take you down, but we just kind of bumped you a little bit. So Imani, go ahead.
Hi. So when it comes to the whole thing about his daughter, I think her feelings are very valid. And I am still a supporter of his movement, but I just feel like you could support the movement and also still hold him accountable because he does speak about how politicians and Democrats specifically ponder to the black community, and I just feel like if this is your legacy and you basically abandoned that little girl, you're kind of like those politicians. So I don't think we should completely abandon the movement or like what he stands for. I feel like, yeah, we could still support the movement, but also hold him accountable. Like, it's not, I don't feel like we're limited to one or the other. Like, we could do both, I feel like, because he does say some very, very valid things and he still does need to be held accountable.
Thank
That's
you,
what I feel.
Imani. No, I absolutely agree with you. Like for people who still believe that his vision is one worth, working towards and investing in, you're absolutely right. And that's my main thing. Like we need to be able to scrutinize people who tout themselves as leaders and or thought leaders.
Yeah.
Because you to whom much is given, much is expected. So if you're going to be that beacon for us, yeah, we need you to get your shit together.
Yeah, like you can't just be preaching the word and not living by the word. That's just crazy to me. And I feel like his response to everything is kind of like you could kind of tell that he don't like most black men, he doesn't like to be held accountable. You could just tell by that. And it's kind of like a shocker because I didn't really expect him to even respond in the way that he did, being that he's so pro black family and pro, black fathers being there for their kids and pro mental, like taking care of your mental health. So it was just really like a shocker seeing how he addressed the whole thing. But hopefully, I seen the video where he was like, we could sit down with your mom, me, you, and your mom. So hopefully that happens in some type of like they're able to work towards fixing something, even though she's only already 22. That's like 22 years of trauma and like a whole bunch of stuff that she had to deal with. But hopefully they could, I don't know, work towards fixing something. Or at least he could do it for not only her but also his 13-year-old daughter because she's still a little girl.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that said so much is just like at the end of the day, all the other things I had talked about before in terms of okay, you've been talking about the school, I've been seeing people give you money. I know you in this amount of time you got more than enough money to do what it is you said you needed to do, and the school is still not here. So that's one thing. I don't like the way he talks to people when he's on donations, gifts, like he's shaming people and browbeating people to give him more money when, like I said, it doesn't appear that you have properly used and accounted for the money you have already been given.
Yeah.
And on top of everything else, you out your own mouth have talked about how you are basically a deadbeat father. You don't say it in that context, but what you're saying, the implications are that you are a deadbeat father or you're a neglectful father.
Yeah.
And you said that out of your own mouth. So now that this girl is coming out and basically corroborating what you said, only because she is trying to connect with her, she did not come out like, oh, I just need y'all to know about him and I'm tired of him and nothing. She could have been did that years ago, and I wouldn't even have blamed her for doing so. But she did not. She said the only reason I'm coming out is because I've been trying to get in contact with you to get in contact with my little sister. And you are not helping me with this. So now I don't have any other option I can see. And now I'm coming out about this. And then your response is going to be to negate her request of you, to not fulfill her request of you, and then to insult her and try to negate what she said by just saying, oh, she's brainwashed by
Or
her mother.
basically like invalidate her feelings. I think what's really triggering him is the fact that she came online, but it's like cause and effect. She was trying to get in contact with you, and because she wasn't able to get in contact with you, she came to the internet. So it's like you can't completely disregard like, oh yeah, she came to the internet, she's trying to destroy the, but she tried the private way and you completely ignored her. So it's like, I don't know.
But I feel
Maybe
like she came to
mediation or
the internet
something.
because that's where he is.
Right.
Like, I don't think that she came to the internet like, I'm about to blow you up. Like, she came because, friend, you here. This where you at.
Like, okay, this is where you spend your time at. And furthermore, this is what is important to you. So, hey, I'm out here.
Right. That's like when somebody pop up at your house. You know what? I'm going to come by. Here we go. Like, I don't think that she did anything wrong.
And can I
I didn't say
calibrate
that she
real
did
quick,
anything
y'all?
wrong. I said that he's upset that she did that and he should not be because she did that because she tried to do the private way.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm not
And
saying that she's wrong.
can we calibrate some facts really quick? Because there's some misinformation popping off in the comments. For those of
Okay.
you all who have been following Dr. Umar even before he started getting on the Breakfast Club, let's verify some facts about the current conversation we're having, which is that his daughter had been trying to get access to her other sibling, who he is the father of, privately. And when he did not respond privately, then she decided to take it public. He made a video response. If I'm not mistaken, it was on his IG, basically calling her mother, and her stepfather a smurf and besmirching all of them I guess allowing her to bring this to social media. The other thing that is important to note as it relates to Dr. Umar in that school, he has been going on the Breakfast Club for I think close to a decade, talking about the progress of that school, collecting donations, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, he did talk about some black contractors that he was having a struggle with, and then brought some non-black contractors in that quote unquote fixed it for him. But as recently as last fall, he was on the Breakfast Club and was asked a question about that school being opened up, and he backpedaled and pee-popped and did a Watusi in a circus round and was like, oh, well, no, we're still working on the HVAC. He was talking about the HVAC even a year before that appearance. So for those of you who are confused about that school and why we are struggling as people who may have donated to him or possibly assisted him in some type of way, he has been dragging his feet for close to a decade about the Frederick Douglass or whatever, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. And there are many people who actually have donated, black people, black men and women who have donated, who are now seeking some type of retribution or restitution because of the fact that they cannot get a hold of him to get an understanding of where those funds have been spent. So I say all that to say this: if you are doing a Watusi in the comments right now, making it seem like we're trying to cancel him or trying to besmirch him, these are all things that he's participated in and actively lied about on multiple public platforms, and actively besmirched, disregarded, and disrespected and dismissed, specifically his daughter in this case. So if you have not done your own due diligence and watched the videos and followed him on Breakfast Club and all the different podcasts, Nick Cannon, all that stuff throughout this time period, then I'm gonna need you to be more careful and more thoughtful about the thoughts that you are sharing in the comments. Just because you want to ride on the coattails of Dr. Umar because you are unwilling to do the reading, even that he has done, to get to where he is academically and professionally and otherwise. Please stop putting misinformation in these comments, because that is also what we're trying to combat when we're having these types of conversations, is the constant misinformation just because you like somebody. There's a lot of people in this life that we like, but just because you like someone doesn't mean that they are always right or always trustworthy. Y'all continue.
Hey, hold on one second. I want to speak to something. First of all, and when she's talking about people that know him like before the Breakfast Club and all that stuff, I remember a few years ago, I was on the live, sitting on the live when he was taking a group of people around the building that he said was supposed to be the building that he bought for this school. And he walking around, and that building, it wasn't condemned. Like, it was okay. It needed some work, but he was saying he needed the HVAC and stuff. So I watched him. I walked with him virtually through the building that he said was the school. So the answer is yes. I saw what he was saying was going on. But again, that was a few years ago and a couple tens of thousand at least dollars ago. So if that, whatever that contractor was that did not work out, okay, we move. He been yapping a lot. He's made a lot of connections. He could have brokered some kind of networking by now to set up a contract with someone by now, another black person or even white people that that want to get down with the cause, that could have helped him to achieve whatever it is he was talking about achieving, because he was most of the way, according to him, most of the way
Exactly.
done. He had a building. So the fact that he has had more like a decade or so, at least $1 million. I saw somebody do the breakdown. He's gotten over $1 million.
And on top of that, he threw that black contractor under the bus on a national platform. So for those of you that are having a struggle and participating in this conversation, again, none of us are perfect, but Dr. Umar literally threw that black contractor under the bus on the Breakfast Club and made that typical joke that we sometimes make at the black kitchen table when we're having certain conversations about, yeah, no, you just can't work with black folks, which is not true all the time, but in that particular instance it was. So he didn't have a problem dragging that black contractor on the Breakfast Club. He didn't have a problem with besmirching and dismissing and disrespecting and disregarding one of his children, which there are two. He also has admitted on the Breakfast Club on at least 2 of the interviews that he's been on, because he's been on here at least 5 times, I think, in the last 8 years, that he has 2 daughters and they is not in their life and he is not in the lives of their mothers. So we're not just randomly saying stuff up here. We're not randomly trying to cancel him or besmirch him. We're talking about factual information that we have observed as being either previous followers, current followers, or just a casual observer of Dr. Umar and his behavior. And there was another person that was up here, I think maybe 30 minutes ago, who was talking about how to catch a salesman, how to catch a con man. And unfortunately, there are a lot of tactics, verbal and speech related tactics that Dr. Umar does use in his speech making, in the patterns and the cadence, the way that he speaks, to get people into his space. He's a very charismatic speaker. We're never going to take that away from him. And he's a very intelligent guy, actually. We're never going to take that from him. But we're also not going to play games with and play in our own faces about what negative behavior we've observed in him and the lies, unfortunately, that he has peddled to some of us. We're not going to do that.
Paper Tech TV, please tell me in the comments what your platform is about. Like, tell me what your platform is about. Because I've said multiple times what my platform is about. So to your question, you can just look on my page and see what I'm doing over here and why we're having this conversation. But in a general sense, yeah, somebody said something about he has 2 buildings. Okay, great. He needs to sell one and get the money he needs to get the first one up and running. Whatever. At the very least, we're talking mismanagement of funds. Even if you take away everything else, can nobody deny there has been a gross mismanagement of funds.
Can I speak to Paper Check TV? Because I will tell you who is in the streets trying to do something. I currently work for the state of New York, trying to make sure we get additional funds to all of these public defense offices so they can get the necessary resources and salaries to their attorneys so that the quality of public defense is increased. You want to know who we represent? Black people. So some of us actually are in the streets doing something. Which one of y'all? It's me, short stuff, okay?
Absolutely. And it is. Yes. So this is a group of people that are civic minded and that are trying to garner people and get together. And it's not about puffing ourselves up as the leader or anything like that. We're doing what we can. We're touching who we can. And we're coming together, circling our wagons and getting it done. And that's the problem. This man has had a massive following, bigger than all of, well, I don't know some of you, I haven't been to you, but I'm assuming bigger than all of ours put together. And there's nothing wrong with him. He earned it. He got to get the gab. He's very entertaining. I personally find him hilarious. But he has not been able to do anything. He has not been able to show anything tangible. The dream he's selling is a beautiful one. And I don't fault anyone for buying into it. But at some point, this is the discernment we're talking about. This is what discernment looks like. There's a point in time where you have to cut your losses and recognize what's going on.
And if I may, one more thing, let us also be, if nothing else, for real. Most of Dr. Umar's audience and biggest supporters are, in fact, Black women, which is why we have to have these kinds of conversations to give Black women an opportunity to reflect on where they're putting their energy and where they're putting their capital. Are you donating to people who are not actually aligned with your best and greater good? Are you donating your mental energy and your attention to causes and following people that are self-proclaimed leaders that are not actually trying to lead you anywhere other than potentially to your demise? So that is why these conversations are extremely important, because we as Black women are constantly having to figure out ways to protect ourselves from all types of threats, internal and external. And if it just so happens that Dr. Umar is turning out to be an actual potential leech or a succubus on Black women's pockets, our emotional well-being and our psychological well-being, because we're constantly being promised all of these things and nothing is coming to fruition, then it's time to have these types of conversations so that we can give people an opportunity to have a choice. Because that's where the problem comes in. A lot of Black women's choices are constantly being taken away because we're constantly being lied to, not only by Black men, but by other Black women as well. Because we've had some Black women come up on the panel today to say some very interesting and very curious things about Dr. Umar and his platform and his philosophies. And again, to level up Single Mom's point, yes, he is hilarious. He's great on the internet. We know all the memes and the, snowbunnies, whatever, so on and so forth. We're not going to take that away from him. But when it comes to our capital, when it comes to our emotional maturity and our emotional energy and our psychological energy, we need to be able to be forewarned about people who do not have our greatest good in our best interest at heart and are only trying to hit our pockets and not trying to lead us somewhere that is going to bring us to a level of elevation emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, etc.
Yes. It's none of your business. The exact thing. The issue is we're comfortable with words and no action. We expect no more than words. Period.
May I speak?
You can comment. We've been waiting on you. Where were you at?
Okay, how y'all doing? My name is Philip, but Phil from Chicago. And just in harmony with this young lady that just spoke, what happens is we fall in love with the pandering, and he always pandered to young African American women because when Kevin Samuels was out here, y'all they hated his guts for the things he was saying, but he was actually coming with some truths. But Umar, he just straight pandered to black women, and everybody loved him. They donated to him, keep donating, and he just keep telling you what you want to hear, and we just keep falling for it. And like I said, with the school thing, it was an excellent idea. I wish that school would have been up, up and running because I know the school, because I was a big fan of Umar Johnson 10 years ago when he first came on the Breakfast Club. He was wearing that green. He was saying some good stuff there, but I was like, that's brother for real. But as time went on, it was like, it's like, you didn't get to school. So it's like, man, whatever. It is like Black Queens Forever. Nobody's never. It's more of a pander thing now. It's entertaining and pandering. Then he said the same thing 3 times. But yeah, we gotta be careful with people like that. Yeah, they entertainment, but we just gotta leave them right where they at. Just entertainment. That's
Right.
just my personal opinion on that.
Bill, I completely agree with you. I think that's a great opinion to have, and it reminds me sometimes of the black church. Because there are some churches that we're going to go to, and they're going to be amazing churches, and they're going to contribute to their communities. And then there are some black churches that are just going to take all of your funds. And it reminds me of this video that I saw here on TikTok where the gentleman's grandmother had passed. She'd been going to this church for years and years, and they said, "Oh, we don't know if we're going to be able to have her service here." He said, "That's fine. I'm a burn this place down if you don't have her service here, all the money that she done gave to this church." And I feel like that's similar with Umar. He has all of these words and no actions. And when it comes to action, you're getting condemned for attempting to hold him accountable. That's not right.
Yeah.
What's his favorite word? Hit the cash out. Hit the cash out. Hit that cash out.
Yeah. That turned me off right there. I already knew what it was hitting for when I saw that. That's just nasty energy. I personally would never give you a penny of my money talking to me like that. Who do you think you are?
But I'm saying we get to have these conversations and encourage each other. Like, yo, we Dr. Umar about to be Target. Ain't no more Breakfast Club. Ain't no more platforms. They need to start saying, "Hey, you're not welcome to come because we're not going to get any traction from this interview because you're not supported in the community for these reasons." And I believe that if he were to change and to do some things, he would be welcome back because I think as Black people, we're so forgiving and we have so much hope in the people that we do support. But if your behavior is poor, like let's retract and say we're not going to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. We got to stop being a part of it. We got to stop endorsing it. That's the beauty that I love about our race. We the most forgiving race ever. But if he was YW, they would not side with him. They would not get back behind this man. They would be like, man, he's a circus. Leave him right where he at.
What he does is that I hear the pandering part, but I think it's even more insidious in that what he does is that he plays to a gap in the space of the hearts of Black women and Black people, which is
Preach.
the fatherlessness that we experience in this community, which is not just relegated to Black women only. It's fatherlessness across all genders within the Black community. And so what he is very, very succinct at doing is playing to that gap, playing to, lack of leadership in the home, playing to the lack of nurturing male energy in people's heart spaces, playing to this idea that whatever I say is, if as long as it's beautiful and poetic, then what I do does not have to align. And so it goes beyond pandering and hitting the cash apps, so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, y'all, Dr. Umar is actually a doctor. He has multiple degrees in psychology, so he's nobody's fool by any stretch of the imagination. But there have been plenty intelligent chaotic evils across history and humankind. And so it's really, really insidious because to play on people's emotions like that, and specifically Black people's emotions, knowing what we've been through in this country, and for him to be the quote unquote prince of Pan-Africanism is just extremely harmful, to be still constantly playing on all of these different issues that we've experienced, and especially around the fatherlessness and what we have experienced as a lack of strong male leadership, and also playing on playing on the leadership that we have lost, playing on the Marcus Garveys, playing on the Martin Luther Kings, playing on the Malcolm X's, and using their rhetoric as well to try to drum up some semblance of, oh well, Dr. Umar must have all the answers, and Dr. Umar is going to lead us into salvation, and Dr. Umar, he knows how to talk to them. He's going to be a great husband, and he's going to be a great father, and he's a great speaker and orator, and he's going to be able to pastor us into some type of spiritual liberation. For all intents and purposes, it's the same thing that our oppressors are doing to us. We're going to dangle carrots.
Jump in really quickly. Just
I'm sorry.
I'm going to miss what you said that triggered something in me. Considering this is the same community that loves to drag Black women and girls for not having fathers, that's fatherless behavior and so forth and so on. The fact that people are acting like this is not a big deal is wild. It's insane, actually.
It is.
People are upset that we are holding this Black man accountable for not showing up as a father. And he will still, I know I've seen him say stuff about people not having fathers. Like, dragging them for their behavior because of fatherlessness.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no reason in the world for people to be upset or looking crazy at us for scrutinizing him not showing up as a father in his own daughters of everything life. But I'm gonna go ahead and let none of your biz say something. I want to start wrapping up, and then we'll do final thoughts because I'm trying to be out of here around 6ish.
Okay, thank you. One of the things I can say is for myself, at least, and what I try to teach my students as well as first off my children is discernment. And that has to connect to not just taking people by their words, okay? We run around saying this is Dr. Umar, but who's validated his PhDs or, one second. Sorry, I had someone step in. Who has validated or where's this proof that he's even a doctor outside of his words? That's one. Two, he calls to him being from the lineage of Frederick Douglass. Like, what does that have to do with him though? So that was a red flag right there. And I was introduced to him by my mother a little over 10 years ago. I heard him speak for maybe 3 minutes. I'll give it 5. And I say he's full of crap. Then he will pop up on my different feeds and he will be saying things that was extremely inappropriate, like about Serena Williams and her thighs, and you need to come over to a Black brother. First off, he's foul. How do you speak about someone's wife, regardless if she's with a YT man or not? You don't speak about, first off, that's not your wife. You don't have a right to even verbally approach someone that way. I mean, there are red flags about this dude all over the place. Then he was on I forget the dude's name. He was on another platform where he was telling them how his 2 baby mamas, not his ex-wives, but they wanted to marry him, and they had the arrogance to want, to reject him moving in with them.
I saw that. I did see
that. Why are people not paying attention to it? Let alone the fact that he keeps ciphering money from people for this school that ain't never been built. Like,
yes,
this is just ridiculous. I just really want to jump in and say, slow down.
You making me laugh thinking about all the memories.
Hold on 1 second before everybody starts talking. Like I said, I want to be kind of wrap it up. So we're going to go with Ashley, and then we're going to go with short stuff. Then we're going to do Phil, and then none of your business, and then Crispy. I'm asking that you keep your final thoughts to 2 minutes, a 2-minute maximum. Okay.
Awesome. My thoughts are that we use our wisdom and our discernment in who we decide to call leaders and who we decide to share their message. And that's how they become leaders, because they get all of this attention. Dr. Umar should not be considered a leader in our community. He does not speak for us. And I think it's just so important that we remember that and share it with others in this conversation and say, hey, I was in this live and this is what we discussed, and put the attention where it should be, which is on his daughter who is begging for help. She shouldn't have to beg for anything, but she went to the internet because that's where her father is. And I think that it should be applauded, it should be respected, and we should just give her care. But it's so important for us to just say, yo, we're not giving this man any more attention. He doesn't deserve it. If he wants to ask for the money for himself because the schools are not happening, that's fine. But holding him accountable because he's saying, you're giving me this money so that I can build something that will contribute is very, very different. Because there are gentlemen that are doing it. I think at Shaka Bars and some other people. Earn Your Leisure, I think. I could be wrong, but they're doing things in Ghana. They're actually doing things. And I think that we should give them those individuals our attention. Those are the individuals that are deserving.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And I've enjoyed having you up here. Please come again.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. I've been wanting to know, are you from Philadelphia?
I am.
Oh, you sound like I'm from Washington, D.C. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Philly born and raised. Go ahead, short stuff.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and this platform. I'm new to you, but I've already hit the follow, and I'm definitely going to be paying attention to what you do. But I just wanted to close by saying I know there was a couple people in the comments that were like, wait, mostly women follow Dr. Umar. I'll be clear that the context to which I've been presented to Dr. Umar in the past has always been a political and his political commentary. And so I didn't realize that that was his following because, like I said, he's not my leader. I have never really followed him. I've just been kind of sent clips about him and things that he's said over time. With that being said, um, I agree and co-sign to everything that Ashley just said. I think as a community, we have to realize that, especially now in the advent of AI and the internet, especially AI, um, information is available to us, and we can do the research too. I think we have to be really mindful of who we're propping up. I also had that same sense that he was kind of trying to pimp out information and make it seem like he was the only one with it. And that bothered me from the times when I've seen him speak. But again, my context, I have to be clear and honest, is pretty limited. Considering everything that's been discussed here, hearing about his children, and seeing what, I listened a little bit before I came up. Um, I feel exactly like most of the people on the panel that it is highly problematic the way that he governs himself in his personal life. Um, and we have to be honest about that as a community and who we idolize for those purposes. And so even if you have nice things to say, I look at actions, you know what I mean? Like I never felt like what he was saying about Black women, when I've heard the few things I've heard, was truly authentic, and this only bears that out further. So I appreciate having this panel. Um, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want you, please stay close. In terms of staying in contact, because you're like the fifth or sixth attorney that I've met like since engrossing myself in social media. And I'm feeling something there because all of them are just so smart and so caring about the community. And I know there's something there that maybe you guys can come together with your legal minds, because I don't know nothing about courts, Jesus. But maybe we all could get together and work on some things on the back end. So, but thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad you came. Next is Phil, and then it's going to be none of your biz, and then extra business.
Um, I pretty much is summarized what the rest of the women said, because we got to stop falling for how a person sound or how they say certain things. I put certain words together, and let's fall in, let's for 2025, 26, whenever and so on. Let's fall in love with people's actions, not their words. Let's just start that movement. I'm in love with your actions, not your words, because people can train themselves to say anything, that put some words together and say anything, but do they have a plan with it? Do they have a backup plan with it? Whatever. That's all I'm saying. Let's just fall in love with people's actions. No more of what they saying.
Thank you so much, Phil. I agree with you 100%. That's why I emphasize that these types of conversations and this type of thinking and scrutiny of people who, like I said, are pushing themselves as leaders and advocates and voice boxes for us is literal discernment. So thank you so much for that. None of your biz, go ahead and give your last thought.
Thank you. I don't really have much more to add. Like the previous guest just said, anyone can fix their mouth to say anything. Actions need to prove that they are authentic. As a people, though, I do know we need to slow down. We need to slow down and get out of this cycle of, we're in this trance of, oh, it sounds good. You know, we just stuck on hope and there's nothing beyond that. And this is how you get taken advantage of. Wisdom, someone had mentioned use the wisdom that we have. I'm wondering, do we even have it? Or do we need to really just go to therapy so that we can start really analyzing ourselves so that we don't keep getting used like this? This is ridiculous and embarrassing. That's it.
Thank you so much. None of your business. Nope, that is 100% in a nutshell. It is embarrassing. And that's why we need to be seen speaking to the people about it and getting them right. And my girl, Chris, first off, let me honor you, Crispy, because just your presence is honoring me. You know, you are that girl. And I always appreciate when you come up and you lend your wisdom and your expertise and everything. Cause you know, Auntie is struggling with this TikTok sometimes. But I appreciate you coming and being an active participant in this community. And so you my girl.
I appreciate it. Level up, you my girl as well. And thank you to Alicia and everybody else that came up on the panel. The first thing I want to do is thank you for giving us the platform and the space to have the conversation. We appreciate you for that. The other thing I want to admonish all the 76 people that are in here to do, make sure you are following Level Up Single Mom, so that when more conversations like this come up, you can come and participate. And make sure that not only are you following her here, but any of the links in her bio, make sure that you're clicking those and checking out other platforms that she is available on. That being said, with 3 minutes left and we want to get her out here on time because we're not going to have no long benediction. I might have been born a Baptist, but I ain't got to unalive as one. That being said, y'all, do your own reading and your own research. Do not let TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or any of these other places be your primary source of research. We've got to get back to being excellent and platforming excellence in our own lives, not just on the internet, not just in higher academia, but in our day-to-day lives. And that excellence includes being excellent emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, financially, and socially, whatever that means to you. So make sure that you are gathering yourself before you gather others, and y'all be good.
Thank you so much, girl. Facts as usual. And I just want to take this time to thank every single one of you that is in here and everyone who has come and gone. I appreciate you. I apologize to the people that were trying to get on the panel, but like she was saying, I was trying to wrap up by 6 o'clock and I just know how it go. Everybody has stuff to say. I will let you know, make sure you follow me and turn on notifications and whatnot, because I will be talking about other things such as this. I may even talk about this a little bit more because there was so much that people wanted to say about it, and it is a part of, to your point, Crispy, a broader conversation. It's one aspect, one facet of a whole. And it's really important because we're talking about discernment here. We're talking about walking the talk. We're talking about worthiness to be a leader and all of these things. And these are real, and accountability is always important. So these are really important conversations to have and to chew on and to implement within our lives. So again, I want to thank everybody, all the panelists that have come and gone, all the panelists that are here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention and the currency of your attention. Like she said, please follow me on all the things because I be doing what I do, both on here and out in the world. And with that, also, I don't have the link here, but if you comment on, I have posts about a summit I just did. This is for Black women. I did a summit this past weekend because people were asking about, like, what are you doing to shore up the community? When we had the election and everything went down the way it went down, I was feeling anxiety, I was feeling fear, I was feeling anger and hurt and everything. And I decided that I was going to do a summit for Black women because I saw so many Black women on here saying the same things about it. And so I decided to do a summit to speak to those fears and anxieties. And we had a wonderful, beautiful, transcendent time. Alicia was there. Who else is here that was there? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know Alicia because she came up and spoke. But yeah, we had a specialist in personal firearms the first day because the first day was about safety. The second day was about strategy. So we had AI and technology specialists and also a specialist on cryptocurrency. And then the last day, we had a self-care day where we regulated our nervous system so that we can implement all of the amazing things that we learned the first 2 days from a place of calm, centeredness, and safety within our bodies. So go ahead, go to it says Project U. Go to my post there, leave a comment if you want to know more about it, and I will get back to you however I can, because TikTok is weird about links and stuff, but we'll figure out a way for me to get you the information about that. That was the point. So with that, I bid you. She said, when's the next one? I don't know, May. I don't know, but right now the replay is up. It is for sale. But like I said, you could poke around about it and see, and I'm going to be putting more comments and stuff that people that came had to say about it in the next week or so, because I've been resting. I had to take me a break from planning it. It was months of work, so I'm just kind of on my break time now. This just inspired me to talk. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get out of here now. I'm a minute over my time. I love you all. Thank you. I appreciate you all, and I will be back. So you all have a great night, a great Friday. Be safe. Don't go out there riding all crazy and drinking and driving and stuff. Bye.